Chapter 2190. A lady in a red dress with snow-white hair walked up to the sky-burying coffin. She was tall and slender with jade-like skin. However, her face was covered with a thin veil, so no one could see her face. However, her temperament was too unique. She was like a supreme empress who looked down on the world, or an ethereal fairy from the 9 heavens. She exuded a peerless aura. There were so many female cultivators on the sky-burying coffin, but when they saw this lady, they could not help but feel inferior. Her red dress was like blood, and her white hair was like frost. The woman's expression was very calm. Her eyes were clear and mysterious. She had a mysterious aura that transcended the heavenly Tao and was unmoved. She was Jin Se, whom Ling Xiao had been searching for. When Jin Se stepped onto the heaven-burying treasure coffin, everyone couldn't help but open a path for her, allowing her to walk to the mouth of the spring. At this moment, Prince Xi Yang's eyes landed on Jin Se as well. His eyes were filled with suspicion and curiosity. It's her. Prince Xi Yang's heart skipped a beat. Jin Se looked calm. She walked to the spring and stopped in front of the sky-burying coffin. Rumble. She exuded a terrifying aura. Blazing divine light rose, and there was a mysterious scene of the birth and death of the world in her eyes. I have the regal sword. It's a supreme sage treasure that I nurtured with my blood. It contains my primordial spirit. I'm willing to use the regal sword to exchange for my lost memories. Jin Se stared at the spring in front of her, her voice exploding like thunder, majestic and powerful. Whoosh! An ancient sword appeared in her palm. It exuded an extremely sharp light. Runes intertwined on it as if it could shatter the heavens and the earth. In an instant, the regal sword shot into the spring like a ray of light. Regal sword? That's the supreme treasure of the Regal Doctrine Palace. I know who she is. She's the saintess of the Regal Doctrine Palace, Jin Se. Someone exclaimed, his eyes filled with disbelief. The regal sword was extremely famous in the god world. It was one of the strongest supreme treasures other than the various supreme emperor weapons. It was on par with the flipping sky seal. Therefore, when Jin Se took out the regal sword, the crowd immediately recognized her. Lost memories? Saintess Jin Se actually wants to use the revered sword to exchange for some memories. This is too stupid, right? Hee, who knows? She probably cultivated the way of the great oblivion, which caused her to forget her past memories. How could it be so easy to find them now? That's the Taishang sword. If you give it to me, it'll definitely allow my strength to increase greatly. Even if I face an expert of the 3rd level of heaven treading, I'll still have the strength to fight. Everyone was discussing softly with different expressions. Some were curious, some were indifferent, and some were coveting the revered supreme sword. It really is you, Jin Se. This is getting interesting. Prince Xi Yang's eyes were cold as he muttered to himself. Everyone was waiting for the sky-burying coffin's reaction. After all, the Taishang sword was a supreme treasure and extremely precious. It should be easy to exchange the Taishang sword for the lost memories. Everyone even felt pity for Jin Se. The revered sword was probably going to disappear forever from today onwards. Whoosh! Suddenly, the spring in front of Jin Se trembled slightly. The Taishang sword that she threw into it turned into a stream of light and charged out. Jin Se's expression was cold as she frowned. The sky-burying coffin didn't take her Taishang sword, so naturally, she couldn't find her lost memories. What's going on? Are her memories so precious that they're even more valuable than the Taishang sword? Someone said in surprise. Who knows? Isn't the sky-burying coffin stingy? It's always stingy. Even if it can't fulfill a wish, it won't return the treasures it took away. Why would the sky-burying coffin return the Taishang sword? Everyone felt incomparably puzzled. Sky-burying coffin, you don't even want my Taishang sword? If that's the case, then I'll exchange the Taishang Dao Palace's supreme technique, the Yin-Yang secret art, for my lost memories. Jean Say's expression was still calm, but she frowned slightly. A page of golden scripture appeared in her palm. It was intertwined with mysterious laws of the Great Path. Everyone couldn't help but tremble and couldn't take their eyes off it. The Yin-Yang secret art was one of the 12 sky techniques, the supreme inheritance of the Taisheng Dao Palace. Now, Jean Say was using it to exchange for her lost memories. Wasn't she afraid that the Taisheng Dao Palace's sect master would find trouble with her? The Yin-Yang secret art? Good stuff. Emperor Ziyang's eyes were burning with passion as he muttered to himself. My lord, do you need us to capture this woman for you? The black-armored warrior heard Emperor Ziyang's words and asked coldly. Not at the moment. I'd like to see if she can exchange it for her lost memories. I'm also very curious about her lost memories. Emperor Ziyang waved his hand and said. Whoosh! The golden page that recorded the Yin-Yang secret art also floated into the spring. Rumble. This time, there was finally a reaction from the spring. The entire sky-burying coffin started to tremble slightly. Dazzling divine light shot up into the sky, exuding a vast and unparalleled aura. Ripples appeared on the surface of the spring, and a ray of light shot out from it, heading straight for Jean Say's forehead. It was like the creation of the world. Chaotic light exploded from Jean Say's glabella, and a mysterious scene of endless worlds appeared. She could vaguely see that in the deepest part of her mind, countless laws of the Great Path were intertwined and sealed by divine chains of order. It was as if there was a mysterious world. Crack! The beam of light that shot out from the sky-burying treasure light was 9-colored. It contained the power of the 5 elements, yin and yang, light and darkness origins. When it hit the divine chains of order, a corner of the world was blasted open. Is that my sealed memories? That is. Jean Say's heart trembled slightly. She saw that in the mysterious world, there were countless intertwined scenes. However, they were all hidden in the fog, so she couldn't see clearly. But in those scenes, there was a vague figure. The figure was also very blurry, but the pair of eyes were warm, bright, and contained deep affection. It was as if they could pierce through endless time and space and shoot into Jean Say's heart in an instant. Who is he? This aura is so familiar, but why can't I remember who he is? Jean Say felt like her sea of consciousness was about to explode. That figure was incomparably blurry, but that pair of eyes seemed to remind her of something. Rumble. But at this moment, a vast heavenly might filled her mind, as if it had touched some kind of law of the Great Path. The divine chains of order that surrounded the mysterious world instantly shone brightly and dispersed the 9-colored ray of light that shot out from the sky-burying coffin. The blurry scene disappeared in an instant. Chapter 2191. Even the sky-burying coffin can't help me recover my lost memories. Jean Say sighed softly, and her expression returned to normal. She could sense that the sky-burying coffin contained an extremely mysterious power that could open the deepest seal in her sea of consciousness. However, it only lasted for an instant before it closed again. Everything in the past had vanished like smoke. However, Jean Say still remembered that pair of eyes. They were bright, resplendent, and filled with silent affection. Even her tranquil state of mind couldn't help but tremble slightly. Perhaps, as long as she could find the owner of those eyes, she would be able to recover her past memories. Jean Say didn't know why she was suddenly so curious about her past memories. She cultivated the path of the great oblivion and used the heart of heaven to reflect her heart. She used the human Tao to evolve the heavenly Tao, allowing her to cultivate extremely quickly. In a short period of time, she broke through her limits and ascended to the 3rd level of heaven treading. However, after breaking through her limits, she discovered that some strange scenes and people often appeared in her sea of consciousness. Someone kept calling her Jean Say, but she couldn't remember who that person was. That was why she came to the sky-burying coffin this time to see if she could recover her past memories. Unfortunately, she still failed. Jean Say turned around and prepared to leave the sky-burying coffin. Everyone was stunned at this moment. Just now, the sky-burying coffin shot out a dazzling 9-colored divine light that contained the mysterious power of the 5 elements, yin, yang, light, and darkness. It seemed to be able to destroy this part of the world. They had never seen such an aura before. At this moment, they were all wondering what Jean Say had obtained from the sky-burying coffin. Say, what kind of treasure do you think Saintess Jean Say obtained? I don't know. But the sky-burying coffin's aura is too terrifying. Even the Emperor's decree didn't have such a shocking aura. I almost believed that she really wanted to recover her lost memories. I'm afraid that's just an excuse. She must have exchanged for some amazing treasure. Even more terrifying than the Emperor's decree. Do you think it's a Supreme Emperor art, Emperor scripture, or an extreme Emperor weapon? Everyone was discussing animatedly. Their eyes were filled with greed and fervor. The sky-burying coffin's aura was simply too shocking. They couldn't help but wonder what Jean Say had obtained from it. However, they all knew that Jean Say was powerful, and most of them were afraid of the Taishang Dao Palace's power. Although some people were greedy and doubtful, no one dared to stop Jean Say. However, there was still a figure standing in front of Jean Say, Saintess Jean Say, long time no see. Prince Ziyang said with a faint smile on his face. Hua Ziyang. Jean Say's eyes flashed. She also recognized this Emperor Ziyang's background. It turned out that Prince Ziyang was the elite of the Chinese, Hua Ziyang, who had tried to kill Ling Xiao but was defeated by Ling Xiao and had to run away pathetically. Jean Say and Hua Ziyang clearly knew each other. Saintess Jean Say, my ancestor once came to the Supreme Dao Palace to propose marriage. I didn't think that you would reject my ancestor. Could it be that you don't like me? Then I would be really sad. Hua Ziyang said with a smile. Get out of my way. Jean Say frowned and said indifferently. She did remember that the Chinese ancestor had come to the Supreme Dao Palace to propose marriage. However, the saintesses of the Supreme Dao Palace had cultivated the supreme unruffled emotions Dao. Although there was a saying that they had experienced the love tribulations, they would never marry someone else. Jean Say did not have a good impression of Hua Ziyang and was slightly displeased. Saintess Jean Say, you're too heartless. It's easy for me to get out of your way. Show me the treasure you got from the sky-burying coffin, and I'll let you go. How about that? Hua Ziyang smiled coldly and revealed his true colors. He was also interested in what Jean Say had gotten from the sky-burying coffin. He did not think that Jean Say was just looking for her memories. She must have gotten an unimaginable treasure from the sky-burying coffin. The 9-colored divine light pierced through the sky and made the entire sky-burying coffin glow. It was a scene that only appeared when a treasure was born. I didn't get any treasure from the sky-burying coffin, and the sky-burying coffin can't help me find my lost memories. If you want treasures, go and get them yourself. Jean Say said indifferently and was about to go around Hua Ziyang. Saintess Jean Say is too dishonest. That terrifying aura just now must be a sign of some treasure being born. Saintess Jean Say is using her lost memories as an excuse. I'm really impressed. Hua Ziyang sneered. Believe it or not, it's up to you. Get out of my way, or don't blame me for being impolite. Jean Say's expression turned slightly cold. Saintess Jean Say, since you refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit, then I can only capture you. Hua Ziyang said coldly. You think you can do that? Jean Say's eyes seemed to flash with sword light. Her body exuded an incomparably dangerous aura. Hand it over or die. A black-armored warrior said coldly. His voice was like thunder, full of cold baleful qi. How can you treat Saintess Jean Say like this? It's not good to shout about killing her. Capture her alive, but don't hurt her. She's this prince's future concubine. If she's hurt, this prince will be heartbroken. Hua Ziyang said with a faint smile on his face. Then, he slowly stepped back. The 8 black-armored warriors behind him surrounded Jean Say. Each of the 8 black-armored warriors was extremely tall. Their bodies were hidden in black armor, and they were surrounded by a murderous aura. Their eyes were filled with bloodthirsty killing intent. They locked onto Jinsei, and their auras were connected. It was as vast as the sea, as if it could suppress all existence. The 8 powerhouses of the 3rd level of heaven-treading realm seemed to be telepathic. If they fought together, they would definitely be able to unleash earth-shattering power. So Prince Xiang is Hua Xiang. Didn't I hear that he was killed by Long Outyan of the War God Temple? I didn't expect that not only did he not die, but he also obtained a great opportunity and improved his cultivation greatly. Hehe, the Taisheng Dao Palace and the War God Temple are allies, but they're sworn enemies with the Heavenly Curse sect and the Chinese. Even if Saintess Jinsei didn't get anything from the sky-burying coffin, Hua Xiang wouldn't let her go so easily. This is going to be interesting. Everyone stared at Hua Xiang and Jinsei. Jinsei was the saintess of the Taisheng Dao Palace. The strength of the Taisheng Dao Palace was extremely terrifying. Every disciple of the Taisheng Dao Palace was a genius, and Jinsei was clearly a powerhouse of the 3rd level of heaven-treading realm. This battle aroused everyone's curiosity and interest. However, they generally thought that Jinsei was no match for Hua Xiang. Chapter 2192. Kacha. Jinsei's face was cold as the sword will around her rose. The Tai Supreme sword appeared in her hand, and with a buzz, it carried her up into the sky. Jinsei could feel that the 8 black-armored warriors were extremely powerful, and they knew how to cooperate with each other. It was as if they had some kind of joint battle formation. If she was surrounded by them, this battle would be very difficult. Kill! The 8 black-armored warriors roared at the same time. Their eyes were burning with murderous intent. They stomped their feet, and the ground rumbled. They were like 8 black stars shooting into the sky, and their speed was not slower than Jinsei's. Boom! The 8 black-armored warriors flew into the sky and punched at the same time, locking onto Jinsei in the center. Jinsei sensed a baleful aura surging towards her. The 8 warriors were like supreme experts who had survived hundreds of battles on the battlefield. Not only were they powerful, but they also had incomparably powerful battle instincts. Their fists had been tempered thousands of times, and the baleful aura contained within could affect a person's mind, making them unconsciously feel as if they were unable to resist. Whoosh! Jinsei's expression did not change. The Tai Supreme sword spread out in front of her, and rays of sword light appeared, splitting into 8 Tai Supreme swords and shooting toward the 8 black-armored warriors. The Tai Supreme sword was extremely sharp, and it was a top treasure that could destroy everything. Not to mention, it contained the vast Tai Supreme sword will, as if it was the origin of all swordsmanship. It was extremely sharp. Clang! 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 The Tai Supreme sword clashed with the black-armored warriors, and in an instant, an unparalleled light bloomed. Countless sword marks appeared on the black-armored warriors' black armor like a spider web, as if it would shatter at any time. However, the black-armored warriors did not seem to feel it. The murderous aura around them rose, and after taking a hit from the Tai Supreme sword, they continued to rush toward Jinsei at an even faster speed. At the same time, a black aura of death permeated the air around the black-armored warriors. Runes intertwined with each other, causing their black armor to recover at a speed visible to the naked eye. The originally densely packed cracks had all disappeared. Whoosh! Jinsei struck out with her sword, and sword light spread out under her feet, making her body somewhat illusory. She took a step forward, and like a sword light piercing through the sky, she was about to rush out of the black-armored warriors' encirclement. Supreme sword steps. Looks like I've underestimated you. Hua Xiang, who was hovering in the air, was shocked. The regal sword steps was a supreme monarch technique of the regal Dao Palace. Legend had it that when the regal sword steps was cultivated to the extreme, one could transform into a supreme sword Dao and instantly teleport the heavens. Furthermore, it was formless and intangible, making it impossible to lock onto or capture it. Right now, the 8 black-armored warriors had yet to form an encirclement. Once Jinsei used the regal sword steps to move away, the 8 black armored warriors would have a hard time utilizing their advantage. Crack! Purple lightning flashed in Hua Xiang's eyes. In an instant, it turned into a purple chain of order. It pierced through the sky and shot towards Jinsei's illusory figure. The purple divine chain of order shone brilliantly. It was suffused with auspicious air and contained the might of the Great Path. It was extremely sharp, causing Jinsei's expression to change slightly. She wielded the Taishang sword and attacked. Boom! The Taishang sword shone with boundless light and collided with the purple divine chain of order. In the end, the sharp sword radiance shattered the chain completely. However, because of this, Jinsei's speed was slightly slower. The 8 black armored warriors caught up with her and surrounded her in the middle. Rumble! Murderous aura rose around the 8 black armored warriors. They were like 8 black suns that instantly appeared in the sky. There was a mysterious connection between them. Their powers were connected and they formed a mysterious barrier that cut off any possibility of Jinsei escaping. Despicable! Jinsei looked coldly at Hua Xiang. If it wasn't for Hua Xiang, she would have already escaped from the encirclement of the 8 black armored warriors. At that time, it would be much easier for her to defeat them one by one. However, now that the black armored warriors had formed an encirclement and the power of the battle formation was fully unleashed, it wouldn't be easy for her to escape or even defeat the black armored warriors. This Hua Xiang is too shameless. It's already shameless enough for 8 of his men to attack a girl. How could he do it himself? Everyone despised Hua Xiang's character and slandered him in their hearts. However, no one dared to speak out to support Jinsei. Rumble! In the Black Suns, the aura of the 8 black armored warriors became extremely terrifying. Their attacks were ruthless and merciless. Every move was fatal. Their fists covered the sky and covered the earth, giving Jinsei no room to dodge. Jinsei's expression became serious. The Taishang sword radiated a sharp sword light, illuminating the surrounding darkness. It clashed with the fist aura, breaking through the fist aura and exploding with blazing waves of divine light. The 8 black armored warriors weren't afraid of death. They were often fighting with their lives on the line. They would rather be pierced by Jinsei a few times to hit Jinsei. However, the 8 of them formed a powerful battle formation that trapped Jinsei in it. Jinsei couldn't use her sharp swordsmanship and movement skills. She was in a passive position. In the sky above the sky-burying coffin, a fierce battle broke out. The terrifying aura made the hearts of the people below tremble. However, anyone with a discerning eye could see that Jinsei was at a disadvantage. Her body had been hit by a few fists and her aura was slightly chaotic. These black armored warriors aren't afraid of death. They aren't afraid of being killed by the sky-burying coffin. There's only one possibility. They are already dead. Jinsei's eyes flashed as a thought appeared in her mind. The sky-burying coffin would kill any living thing that dared to fight here. If the black armored warriors were dead, then the sky-burying coffin would have no effect on them. This was also the situation that Jinsei observed. This also explained why the black armored warriors were so fearless of death. Even after being hit by the Taishang sword, they could still attack Jinsei with all their might. Moreover, their injuries were healed in an instant. I just don't know. Are they puppets made by Hua Xiang or the legendary zombie clan? Jinsei thought to herself. Although she was at a disadvantage, she was still trying her best to resist. At the same time, she was observing the 8 black armored warriors, looking for an opportunity to counterattack. The legendary zombie clan didn't belong to any of the 5 elements and didn't belong to any of the living races. However, their strength was extremely terrifying. This was especially true for the strongest among them. Even if their bodies were shattered, they could be reborn with a drop of blood. They were immortal. This was very similar to the 8 black armored warriors in front of her. Roar. Chapter 2193. Rumble. Another clap of thunder seemed to explode in the sky. The warriors' furious roars were like the roars of ancient gods and demons, containing boundless destructive power. Waves of sound waves spread out, rushing towards Jin Sei's sea of consciousness in an attempt to shatter her soul. This sudden sound wave attack caught Jin Sei off guard. Her body shook violently, and her face turned pale. Even though her soul was extremely powerful and protected by the yin and yang qi, the sound wave was filled with extremely powerful malice and death intent. It was like the roar of a million gods and demons, enough to shatter the world, so her soul suffered a certain degree of damage. The 8 warriors didn't give Jin Sei a chance to react. They charged straight at her, black death qi surging around them. Sharp claws grew out of their arms and legs, as well as glossy green fur. It was a very strange sight. They clawed at Jin Sei, clang. 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 Jin Sei resisted the dizziness and blocked with the regal sword. The claws of the warriors clashed with the regal sword, erupting with the sound of metal clashing and sparks flying. Pfft! In the end, Jin Sei's arm was scratched by a warrior's claw. The wound was immediately enveloped in a layer of black mist, and it quickly spread into her body. Jin Sei's expression changed slightly. She used her fingers like a sword, and the divine light of yin and yang shot out from her palm. It contained a strange power, and it instantly touched her arm. She then pulled down, and the poison in her arm turned into a bloody sword. Wrapped in the divine light of yin and yang, it shot out. What a strange poison. You really are a zombie. Jin Sei's eyes were extremely cold. Although the poison had been neutralized, one of her arms had become extremely numb, and she had lost part of her ability to fight. Roar! The 8 black-armored warriors seemed to have become incomparably crazy at this moment. They let out terrifying roars, and at the same time, their sharp claws continuously attacked Jin Sei like wild beasts. Jin Sei kept blocking, but she found that her arm was becoming more and more numb. It was actually spreading to her entire body, slowing her movements. The zombie poison wasn't completely neutralized. Jin Sei's face was a little ugly, even showing a trace of an abnormal green. Her lips were starting to turn black, and her arms were trembling slightly. Saintess Jin Sei, you should give up resisting. If you can't even defeat my subordinates, how are you going to fight me? Come back with me obediently and be my concubine. When I confirm my Tao and become an emperor, you will be my imperial concubine. What do you think? Hua Ziyang smiled. He could see that Jin Sei was not in a good state. She was like an arrow at the end of its flight. She could be defeated by the black-armored warrior at any time. He was more familiar with the zombie poison than anyone else. Even a saint wouldn't be able to do anything about it, let alone Jin Sei. The thought of the saintess of the Taisheng Dao Palace being captured by him and brought back to the Chinese for him to ravage made him extremely excited. Don't even think about it. Jin Sei gritted her teeth. Rumble. The Taisheng sword in her hand suddenly bloomed with boundless light. It swept out and forced the 8 black-armored warriors to retreat. Then, a terrifying aura emanated from her body. Black and white divine light intertwined behind Jin Sei, yin and yang qi filled the air, faintly forming an ancient and unfamiliar world. Yin-yang change, creation of the heavens and earth. Following Jin Sei's soft roar, a vast power suddenly erupted. The yin and yang qi behind her intertwined and soared into the sky like 2 divine dragons, one black and one white, exuding an insufferably arrogant aura. The surrounding space began to tremble violently. Space was distorted, and chaotic mist filled the air. Her surroundings were filled with incomparably violent energy, like a volcano that was about to erupt. Oh no! Hua Ziyang's expression changed, and his heart palpitated. Rumble. However, before he could react, the yin and yang qi around Jin Sei shattered with a loud bang. As if it had caused a chain reaction, the surrounding void exploded at the same time. Chaotic light rose, lightning blazed, and the laws of the Great Path became extremely chaotic. Everything seemed to have become a part of the chaos, and completely ceased to exist. The first to bear the brunt of the attack were naturally the 8 black-armored warriors. Their black armors were completely shattered, revealing their true appearances. They were 8 humanoid monsters that were more than 10 feet tall. Their bodies were covered with black hair, and their hands and feet had sharp claws that shone with a green light. Their faces were extremely ferocious, and their eyes were blood red. The aura around them was extremely violent, and they exuded a murderous aura that did not fear death. This was the zombie clan, and they were black god zombies that were about to evolve into saints. Whoosh! Hua Ziyang did not even think about it. A large black flag flew out from his palm and covered the 8 black god zombies, blocking the destructive power of the yin and yang qi. Rumble! The 8 black god zombies violently trembled. The battle formation boundary that they formed shattered with a loud bang. Cracks appeared all over their bodies. If it wasn't for the protection of the large black flag, they would have been completely obliterated by this attack. A forbidden technique of the yin-yang sky technique? Saintess Jinsei, you really surprised me. But do you still have the strength to fight back? Hua Ziyang's expression was incomparably cold, and the aura around him was monstrous. He slowly walked towards Jinsei. Jinsei's figure was trembling, and her face was incomparably pale. This yin-yang transformation was indeed a forbidden technique of the yin-yang sky technique. With her cultivation, she was unable to use it. Forcefully erupting with the strongest power, she suffered a huge backlash. At this moment, facing Hua Ziyang, she really did not have the strength to continue fighting. Hua Ziyang, you're still so shameless. Jinsei said coldly, and there was no trace of fear in her eyes. Shameless? Ha ha ha. It's just the winner taking all. The weak always find excuses for themselves, and the strong will eventually dominate this world. No one can save you, so you'd better obediently come with me. Hua Ziyang laughed loudly, and his eyes were filled with evil. He stretched out his hand and grabbed towards Jinsei. Rumble. But at this moment, the sky above the sky-burying coffin shook violently, and millions of rays of divine light exploded. A huge void vortex appeared, and 5 figures emerged from it. Hua Ziyang, you're courting death. A cold voice resounded in the sky. It contained endless anger and murderous intent. It turned into an invincible fist that covered the world and pressed down on Hua Ziyang. Chapter 2194. The people who walked out of the void whirlpool were naturally Ling Xiao, the old goat, Taoist Wuyang, Feng Qingyang, and Night Dream. Ling Xiao did not expect to see Jinsei's pale face and staggering body the moment he arrived at the sky-burying coffin. Hua Ziyang was trying to grab Jinsei. Although he did not know why Hua Ziyang was here, Ling Xiao was immediately enraged. Boundless killing intent surged in his heart as he attacked Hua Ziyang. Rumble. Ling Xiao descended from the sky. Boundless fist essence surged around him as he displayed the Heavenly Emperor's fist. The aura around him was vast and unparalleled. He was like an ancient great emperor who wanted to kill all the strong enemies in the world. Long Outyan. Hua Ziyang was shocked at first. However, when he saw Ling Xiao, he was shocked and furious. Instantly, he unleashed all his strength and charged towards Ling Xiao. The reason he was in this state was all because of Ling Xiao. Therefore, he had been thinking about killing Ling Xiao day and night. Both of them struck out in anger. They erupted with their strongest power and collided with each other in a mighty manner. Kacha! The void suddenly shattered. A huge crack that was thousands of miles long appeared in the sky. Boundless void turbulence and chaotic aura surged like a volcanic eruption. It contained boundless destructive power. Ling Xiao and Hua Ziyang were both shocked and flew backwards at the same time. Whoosh! Ling Xiao made use of the rebounding force to cast a teleportation secret technique. He leaped into the sky and carried the pale-faced Jinsei in his arms. Jinsei, are you alright? Ling Xiao asked worriedly. His eyes were filled with concern. You are, Jinsei opened her mouth. However, when she met Ling Xiao's eyes, she was suddenly stunned. His eyes were bright and resplendent. However, they contained a silent affection. It was as if Jin Se was the only one in his eyes. There was no one else in his eyes. Jin Se suddenly knew why she felt that those eyes were so familiar. It was because the owner of those eyes was Ling Xiao. Jin Se, thank goodness you're all right. If something really happens to you, even if Hua Ziyang dies 100 times, or even 1,000 times, he still won't be able to atone for his sins. Ling Xiao didn't notice Jin Se's strange behavior. Instead, he carefully examined her injuries. Her injuries weren't too serious, and the yin and yang energies were slowly eating away the zombie poison in her body. Only then did Ling Xiao let out a sigh of relief. I'm fine. Can you put me down first? Jin Se said calmly. Her eyes were cold and distant, as if she was trying to push people 1,000 miles away. Oh, all right. Seeing Jin Se's eyes, Ling Xiao's heart ached. He remembered that Jin Se had forgotten everything that had happened in the past. He quickly put Jin Se down. Ling Xiao, why are you here? Jin Se asked calmly. Although she looked cold on the surface, her mind was already in a mess, especially when she saw that Ling Xiao was the owner of those eyes. She suddenly wondered if what Ling Xiao said before was true. Was this Ling Xiao before her the man she once loved? Jin Se cultivated the way of the great oblivion. For the past few decades, nothing had been able to affect her emotions. However, she didn't know why, but when she saw this man before her, her heart was in a mess. She didn't know how to face this person before her. Is she Jin Se? She's so beautiful. Yi Meng looked at Jin Se in front of her and was slightly stunned. Although she was confident that her appearance was peerless, when she saw Jin Se at this moment, her peerless temperament actually made her feel inferior. Of course we're here for you. Jin Se, who's this bastard? How dare he lay his hands on you? I'll twist his head off and use it as a chamber pot. The old goat ran over and grinned at Jin Se, trying to curry favor with her. Who are you? Jin Se's eyes showed a trace of confusion, causing the old goat's face to fall. Jin Se, you really don't remember anything. I'm the old goat, this is Taoist Wuliang, the ox-nosed Taoist. We're Ling Xiao's good brothers. You don't remember us, I'm so sad. The old goat wailed miserably. Old goat, don't embarrass yourself here. If Jin Se doesn't even remember Ling Xiao, it'd be strange if she remembers you. However, this guy dares to lay his hands on our Jin Se, I think he's tired of living. Taoist Wuliang sneered. He looked at Hua Ziang with a cold killing intent in his eyes. That's right, kill him. The old goat stared at Hua Ziyang with evil intentions. Hua Ziyang ignored the old goat and Taoist Wuliang who were echoing each other. His eyes fell on Ling Xiao as he sneered, Long Outyen, I heard that you died at the hands of the two supreme elders and regretted that I didn't get to kill you personally. I didn't expect you to come to the ancient chaotic land alive. Very well, today we'll settle our old grudges together. How do you want to die? His eyes were full of undisguised killing intent. When he thought of how he was chased by Ling Xiao and fled pathetically, his heart was filled with great humiliation. Hua Ziyang, you loser, I spared your life before. I didn't expect you to lay your hands on Jin Se. Today, I'll leave you with your life. Ling Xiao said coldly. Jin Se? You call him so intimately. Is he your lover? Saintess Jin Se, no wonder you don't want to accept me. I didn't expect you to already have a lover. Looks like you're not as pure as you seem. What a pair of bitches. Today, let me send you two to die together. Hua Ziyang sneered. Although the 8 black god zombies had been severely injured by Jin Se's yin-yang transformation earlier, they were undying to begin with. Their strength was unparalleled, and their injuries were healed in a short period of time. Baleful auras surrounded them as they glared at Jin Se and Ling Xiao, their eyes filled with hatred. Hua Ziyang could see that Ling Xiao, the old goat, Taoist Wuliang and Feng Qingyang were not weak. Only Yi Meng was a 9th revolution half-saint. However, he seemed to have something to rely on and did not take Ling Xiao and the others seriously. Where did this dog come from? Didn't he wipe his mouth after eating shit today? It's too smelly. I really want to tear his dog mouth apart. The old goat sneered. You think too highly of him. Even a dog wouldn't eat trash like him. Taoist Wuliang echoed and echoed the old goat. This made Hua Ziyang's face turn ashen. He was about to explode from anger. It had to be said that when it came to talking, even 10,000 Hua Ziyangs would not be a match for the old goat. Only the white dragon horse could compete with the old goat. Very well. You've completely angered me. Since that's the case, then leave your lives behind. This time, no one can save you. Chapter 2195. Kill. 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 The 8 black god zombies behind Hua Ziyang roared at the same time. Every word contained monstrous killing intent, as if it could tear everything apart. Their auras merged with Hua Ziyang's and became incomparably terrifying, causing the surrounding void to distort. Black light soared into the sky with unstoppable momentum. The surrounding people felt a chill all over their bodies, as if they were being stared at by some ancient ferocious beast. They felt uneasy all over. Long Outyan and Hua Ziyang. These two are fated enemies, but Hua Ziyang was once defeated by Long Outyan. Does he have something to rely on? Who can say for sure? Hua Ziyang's subordinates actually have experts from the ancient zombie clan serving him. He must have obtained a great opportunity and fortune. I'm afraid it's hard to say how this battle will turn out. A battle between peerless geniuses might be able to let us catch a glimpse of heaven's secrets and find the way to break through to the 3rd level of heaven treading. Everyone's eyes were also filled with anticipation. They all felt that they were about to witness an unprecedented fierce battle. Among the current human race, the emperor was naturally worthy of being the strongest. He was even the most dazzling existence among the billions of races in the universe. Many people believed that the emperor was the one with the most hope of becoming the chosen one. Below the emperor were the various saints, geniuses and monstrous geniuses, as well as the princes of the hidden monarch clans. Ling Xiao and Hua Ziyang belonged to this category. They were both people that everyone believed had the qualifications to compete for the chosen one. These two geniuses were about to have a huge battle, and it might even be a battle of life and death. Naturally, everyone was incomparably excited. Old Goat, Taoist Wuliang, Feng Qingyang, I'll leave those 8 monsters to you. I'll deal with Hua Ziyang personally. Ling Xiao said indifferently. Hee, don't worry. I've even eaten humans before, but I've never eaten zombies. Today, I really want to try what these zombies taste like. Old Goat chuckled as he stared at the 8 black god zombies maliciously. How dare they make a move on junior sister Jin's? These bastards deserve to die. Feng Qingyang said coldly. There's nothing to say. Kill these bastards. Taoist Wuliang sneered and took the initiative to attack. Rumble. He struck out with his palm, and a blazing divine light rose from the center of his palm. There were mountains and rivers, boundless heaven and earth, and thousands of miles of ocean waves, and they crashed down on the 8 black god zombies. The old goat and Feng Qingyang's eyes flickered as they attacked at the same time. Their auras surged, and they all had the battle prowess of the 3rd level of heaven treading. At this moment, they unleashed their full strength, and the terrifying aura enveloped the sky. Kill. After receiving Hua Ziyang's order, the 8 black god zombies began to fight against Taoist Wuliang, the old goat, and Feng Qingyang with bloodshot eyes. An incomparably fierce battle broke out in the void. However, Ling Xiao and Hua Ziyang seemed as if they didn't notice it at all. Their gazes were extremely blazing as they stared at each other. A terrifying aura was accumulating and rising around them, and it seemed as if it would explode at any moment. This is the aura of a heaven realm expert. In a short 3 years, he actually broke through the limit twice and advanced to the heaven realm. Moreover, he has the Black God Zombie's protection. It seems that this Hua Xiang has indeed obtained a great fortune. Ling Xiao thought to himself as his battle intent burned even more fiercely. He could feel a powerful pressure from Hua Ziyang. The current Hua Ziyang was somewhat similar to the Tian Zi that Ling Xiao had seen before. He was confident, invincible, and seemed to be able to defeat everything. Even in the entire chaotic ancient land, there were probably only a few people who could break through the limit 3 times and form the human venerable, earthly venerable, and heavenly venerable. However, Hua Ziyang did it. Long Outyen, don't you have an invincible body? Then let's see whose body is stronger. Hua Ziyang said coldly as the aura around him rose to the extreme. As he roared, the terrifying energy in his body seemed to have found an outlet. It turned into a purple fist and blasted towards Ling Xiao. Rumble. Purple divine light surged around Hua Ziyang's body, and black death chi permeated the air. The purplish-black light made his face look eerie and majestic. The explosion of pure physical strength caused the void to tremble violently. In an instant, the fist formed was unparalleled and fell towards Ling Xiao's chest. Die! Ling Xiao did not show any mercy and punched towards Hua Ziyang. The golden fist was like a rising sun, blooming with endless light and heat. Crack! The two fists collided and the void shattered. Chaotic chi surged around Ling Xiao and Hua Ziyang, concealing their figures. Ling Xiao's body trembled as he felt that Hua Ziyang's body was incomparably sturdy. It was filled with an immortal fluctuation that was not much weaker than his. This is the aura of the zombie clan. Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat. He felt that the black aura around Hua Ziyang was very similar to that of the Haitian zombie. However, the Hua clan was part of the human clan, and Emperor Tian Du was the supreme emperor of the human clan. Could it be that Hua Ziyang had given up the human clan's bloodline and became part of the zombie clan? Ling Xiao retreated. His feet flashed as he executed the secret teleportation technique and shot up into the sky. He then struck his palm towards Hua Ziyang. Hua Ziyang's expression was indifferent as a trace of disdain flashed in his eyes. He grabbed at Ling Xiao's arm and kicked out at the same time, causing an explosion in the void. Clang! Ling Xiao's palm turned into a palm knife and collided with Hua Ziyang's claw. Dazzling sparks burst out. At the same time, his other hand clenched into a fist and collided with Hua Ziyang's foot. Hua Ziyang's body was filled with black ripples. That kind of aura was becoming more and more obvious. Obviously, it was the aura of the zombie clan. Hua Ziyang, you actually gave up the human clan's bloodline and became part of the zombie clan. Are you worthy of Emperor Tian Du? Ling Xiao sneered as his eyes were filled with disdain. The Hua clan was the emperor clan of the human clan. Emperor Tian Du was one of the 9 emperors of the human clan, which allowed the Hua clan to enjoy endless glory. Although some of the younger generation of the Hua clan were unfilial, the people were very tolerant of the Hua clan for the sake of Emperor Tian Du now. Seeing that Hua Ziyang had given up the human clan's bloodline, Ling Xiao was furious. What nonsense are you talking about? I just cultivated the divine sense of the zombie clan. This is the body of generals and ministers of the zombie clan, not the bloodline of the zombie clan. Don't try to frame me. Hearing Ling Xiao's words, Hua Ziyang's expression changed as he retorted coldly. Body of generals and ministers? Very well, I'd like to see how strong your body of generals and ministers is. Chapter 2196. Roar. A dragon's roar erupted from Ling Xiao's body. Behind him, a dazzling golden light shone. A golden divine dragon appeared and coiled around him, making him look majestic and mysterious. His blood and chi were boiling like the sea. It even began to burn fiercely. A terrifying power was awakening. Ling Xiao's body was extremely strong. He had tempered his body with the chaos and cultivated the ancestral dragon's secret skill to the 6th level. He had reached the limit of this realm. At this moment, he exerted all his strength to fight with Hua Xiang. Bang! Ling Xiao and Hua Xiang collided violently. It was like a golden sun and a black sun exploding at the same time, erupting into a terrifying divine light storm. Hua Xiang soared into the sky. The purple and black light around him was dazzling. It was as if a black hurricane had been set off. Black claws grew out of his fingers. They were sharp and sturdy. They were aimed at Ling Xiao's heart. Ling Xiao's palm chopped down and collided with Hua Ziyang's claw. There was a loud explosion in the air. Hua Ziyang's claw suddenly expanded like a sharp sword out of its sheath. He wanted to pierce Ling Xiao's chest in an instant. Whoosh! Ling Xiao swayed slightly. There seemed to be afterimages in the void. He dodged Hua Ziyang's claws and kicked at Hua Ziyang's head. The power of this kick was extremely terrifying. It could almost destroy this side of the world. Even a mountain could be kicked to dust. Hua Ziyang pushed out his arms. Black scales appeared on his arms. He suddenly collided with Ling Xiao's foot. Bang! Ling Xiao was sent flying by the power that erupted from Hua Ziyang's arm. Hua Ziyang took advantage of the situation and shot out black chains of order towards Ling Xiao's ankles with his ferocious claws. Roar! At the same time, Hua Ziyang let out a terrifying roar. A powerful sound wave suddenly shot towards Ling Xiao's forehead. It was going to pierce his sea of consciousness and shatter his primordial spirit. Get lost! Ling Xiao's eyes shone with an unparalleled sharpness. Golden flames burst forth from his legs. The sky-devouring fire burst forth and enveloped the black divine sequence chains, burning them fiercely. Ling Xiao didn't seem to be affected by the sound wave. He used a teleportation technique and instantly appeared behind Hua Ziyang, punching towards his back. Boom! Hua Ziyang didn't expect that his terrifying zombie roar wouldn't have any effect on Ling Xiao. He hesitated for a moment, and Ling Xiao took the opportunity to appear behind him and punch him, causing him to stagger. Kill! Ling Xiao seized the opportunity and unleashed his dragon power. His fists were like dragons, and each of his fists seemed to have a golden dragon flying across the sky. The sky was filled with fist prints and dragon shadows, and they attacked Hua Ziyang from all directions. Boom! 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 Although Hua Ziyang tried his best to resist, he lost the initiative and suffered a few fist prints on his body. Black death chi spread out, and the black scales on his body shattered. The ribs on his chest were all broken, but he was surrounded by a deathly aura. The mysterious power of law flowed and healed his injuries at a speed visible to the naked eye. What a powerful Jiangchen body! Ling Xiao's heart trembled. Hua Ziyang's body was indeed extremely strong. It wasn't much weaker than Ling Xiao's body. The most important thing was that the Jiangchen body had the ability to heal quickly. It was as if he could recover instantly even if he was torn to pieces. This was something that Ling Xiao couldn't compare with. At least, he couldn't recover so quickly after suffering a fatal injury. Moreover, Hua Ziyang had the bloodline of the monarchs, and he had the supreme talent of the Chinese. He was invulnerable and could resist the attack of the divine principle. Hua Ziyang's invulnerability talent seemed to have merged with the Jiangchen body. It made his every move immeasurably powerful, and he was immune to most of the divine principle attacks. Hua Ziyang's physical strength was already incomparably monstrous. He was many times stronger than when Ling Xiao first met him. Boom! 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 The void shook violently as Ling Xiao and Hua Ziyang engaged in a fierce battle. Like a divine dragon traversing the 9 heavens, like a ferocious tiger roaring in the forest, every strike was like a volcanic eruption, causing the heaven and earth to shake and the sun and moon to lose their light. Endless divine light gushed out, dyeing the sky red. The terrifying waves shocked the people watching the battle on the sky-burying coffin, and their faces turned pale. It's too terrifying. Is this a battle between peerless geniuses? I feel that both of them have the power to kill a saint. Are experts in the third level of heaven treading really so terrifying? I'm afraid they're not ordinary experts in the third level of heaven treading. They've at least reached the earth realm, or even the third heaven realm. Who will win this battle? Hua Ziyang has a higher chance of winning, right? That's right. After all, Hua Ziyang has the bloodline of a monarch race. Now, it seems that he has obtained the fortune and opportunity of the zombie race. Long Outyen is still a little weak. Everyone watched the battle between Ling Xiao and Hua Ziyang as they discussed and speculated in low voices. At this moment, the old goat, Taoist Wuliang, and Feng Qingyang were also engaged in a fierce battle with the 8 black god zombies. The 8 black god zombies were all fearless. Each of them had a murderous aura, and their attacks were incomparably fierce. Moreover, their claws were stained with poison, which posed a great threat to Jinsei. However, the old goat had the sky-devouring secret technique, which could devour everything in the world. He could even devour the zombie poison directly, which was a natural counter to the black god zombies. Taoist Wuliang was even more proficient in Tao techniques and formations. Borrowing the power of heaven and earth, he could erupt with great destructive power with every move. Feng Qingyang cultivated the yin-yang secret technique, and was especially proficient in the yang scroll. He could control the sacred fire of the sun, and his momentum was monstrous. Under the joint attack of the 3 of them, the 8 black god zombies were not only unable to form a battle formation, but were also faintly at a disadvantage. However, the 8 black god zombies' combat strength was incomparably terrifying. Moreover, they were not afraid of death. It would not be easy for the 3 of them to defeat them in a short period of time. Jiangchen, Celestial Slain Technique. Black murderous aura emanated from Hua Ziyang's eyes as he suddenly roared. Boom! Black light surged around Hua Ziyang's body. In an instant, 2 huge wings appeared on his back. Fangs grew out of his mouth, and the claws on his hands turned pure gold. His eyes were dignified and mysterious, and his aura violently rose. Like a shadow, he instantly charged towards Ling Xiao. Just as he was about to reach Ling Xiao, his body suddenly became illusory. Like a black blade light, he directly slashed towards Ling Xiao's head. Chapter 2197. Boom! Hua Ziyang's body exuded an ancient and oppressive aura. He transformed into Jiangchen's true form with a pair of wings on his back, fangs in his mouth, and sharp claws that tore through the sky. He had evolved a ferocious supreme blade technique. Jiangchen was one of the ancestors of the zombies, and was known as the Great Zombie Emperor of the ancient times. He was terrifyingly strong, and possessed an invincible physical body. According to the legends, he was capable of withstanding imperial weapons. He was immortal, and even if the heavens and earth were destroyed, he would not be destroyed. He was one of the strongest experts in the ancient times. Although Hua Ziyang hadn't reached Jiangchen's level, he had obtained Jiangchen's body by chance. At this moment, he unleashed his full power and used Jiangchen's innate ability, the Celestial Slayer technique, in an attempt to kill Ling Xiao once and for all. The black blade light contained the endless power of the universe. It was so terrifying that even Ling Xiao felt a chill run down his spine, as if he couldn't resist it. Kill! Ling Xiao's eyes blazed with divine light as his battle intent boiled. He roared, and endless divine light erupted from his body. It was as if he was witnessing the terrifying scene of the destruction of all things and the shattering of the heavens. Above his head, the Yen Emperor Cauldron, the 7 Slaughter Blade, the Army Destroyer Spear, and the Sword of Greedy Wolf appeared at the same time. Ling Xiao evolved the battle heavenly art, sweeping across with an invincible aura. Rumble. The ultimate confrontation between the Jiangchen Heavenly Slayer technique and the battle heavenly art shook the surrounding sky violently, as if it would shatter at any moment. In the void, sword energy rose, and blade light filled the air. Beams of divine light traversed the heavens and the earth, forming a violent storm that drowned Ling Xiao and Hua Ziyang's figures. This is the battle heavenly art of the War God Temple. Someone exclaimed in surprise. Although the battle heavenly art was ranked last among the 12 heavenly arts, no one dared to underestimate it. It was also known as the #1 secret combat technique in the heavens. It contained endless battle intent and could sublimate the strongest power, capable of tearing the heavens and splitting the earth. It was omnipotent. Especially when Ling Xiao evolved the battle heavenly art with the 4 imperial weapons. The supreme power was as if an ancient emperor had been reborn. Every move of his contained unfathomable heavenly might. How terrifying! So this is the combat strength of the 3rd level of heaven treading. This isn't something an ordinary person can contend against. Everyone's bodies were shaking. This was a type of throbbing that came from the depths of their primordial spirits. They couldn't help but tremble all over. Even the battle between the old goat, Taoist Wuyang, Feng Qingyang, and the 8 black god zombies was completely overshadowed by the battle between Ling Xiao and Feng Qingyang. Everyone's eyes were fixed on Ling Xiao and Hua Ziyang, looking forward to the final result of this battle. At this moment, no one could guess who was stronger or weaker. Moreover, they had all benefited greatly from this battle. It was as if they had seen the path to a breakthrough. Boom! 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 Ling Xiao and Hua Ziyang engaged in a great battle and clash. This was a clash of extreme physical bodies, a clash between the physique of a general and an official and the physique of a divine dragon. The power of the celestial slain technique and the battle heavenly technique were used. The two of them fought with true fire, causing the heavens and earth to tremble and the sun and moon to dim. The lake around the sky-burying treasure coffin exploded with a loud bang. Streams of mist filled the air and intertwined with endless chaotic mist. It was as if everything had turned into the most original existence. If it wasn't for the sky-burying treasure coffin being incomparably mysterious and the natural laws of the great Tao around it, it might have been destroyed in the battle between Ling Xiao and Hua Ziyang. Roar! A dragon's roar soared into the sky. A 10,000 zhang long divine dragon floated in the void, exuding a peerless ferocious aura as it charged towards Hua Ziyang. Roar! Hua Ziyang's physique of a general and an official had completely erupted. His physique was incomparably tough and he wasn't afraid of any attacks. At the same time, he grabbed the 10,000 zhang long divine dragon with both hands, wanting to tear it into pieces. The chaotic mist shattered, forming a mysterious world around Ling Xiao and Hua Ziyang. Ling Xiao swept across the sky and instantly, all the stars exploded. Flames surged out and covered the sky, enveloping Hua Ziyang. Hua Ziyang opened his mouth wide and swallowed all the flames in the sky. At the same time, his sharp claws turned into streaks of divine light, shooting towards Ling Xiao's vital points. Boom! 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 Ling Xiao and Hua Ziyang fought for more than 100 rounds, but it seemed like there was no clear winner. Both of them had pushed their physiques to the extreme. Every time they collided, it was as if the sky was falling and the earth was shattering. The terrifying waves of energy swept out, causing everyone's breathing to quicken. They felt an incomparable pressure, and their faces turned pale as they hurriedly retreated. Rumble! Another violent collision occurred. It was as if 2 suns had exploded. Endless flames surged from all directions, turning the sky into a sea of fire. Accompanied by a muffled groan, a black figure flew out from the endless sea of fire. A golden fist mark appeared on Hua Ziyang's chest, causing his chest to cave in. He coughed out a mouthful of blood. Ling Xiao also rushed out from the sea of fire. Although his face was a little pale, as if he had lost all his strength, his eyes were incomparably bright and sharp. Prince Ziyang actually lost? Everyone was shocked, and their eyes were filled with disbelief. The Jiangchen Constitution is the supreme constitution of the zombie tribe. It is the supreme technique of the physical sanctification. Even so, Prince Ziyang still can't defeat Long Outyen? Long Outyen is too powerful. Everyone could not accept that the outcome of the battle had been decided so quickly. At the same time, everyone looked at Ling Xiao in awe and respect. Long Outyen, I didn't expect you to cultivate your physique to such a level. I'm afraid your physique is not far from the physical sanctification realm. However, you can't change the outcome of today's battle. Now that the warm-up is over, I'm going to use my full strength. Hua Ziyang stared coldly at Ling Xiao, his eyes filled with undisguised killing intent. Is that so? I also want to see if the Sky Pride of the Chinese can still use the secret skills of the Chinese. I'm afraid you have forgotten all of them. If Emperor Tiandu was still alive, I'm afraid he would slap you to death, you unfilial descendant. Ling Xiao said calmly. You have a sharp tongue. However, no matter what, you can't change the outcome of your defeat. Didn't you want to see the skills of the Chinese? Very well, I'll fulfill your wish today. Hua Ziyang's eyes turned cold, and streaks of purple lightning shot out from his eyes. He slowly walked towards Ling Xiao, and his body began to explode with purple lightning. Kacha! Heaven and earth trembled, and the purple lightning was scorching and terrifying. A mysterious lightning world formed behind Hua Ziyang, and endless mysterious scenes appeared. Heaven's gate opens, purple firmament destroys the world. Hua Ziyang said slowly, and in an instant, lightning flashed and thunder roared in all directions. Chapter 2198. Rumble. An ancient and mysterious door appeared behind Hua Ziyang. It was intertwined with Tao and truth. The light of the Dharma was dazzling. Bolts of lightning shot out from the door, turning the world purple. Bolts of purple lightning that resembled divine dragons gushed out from the ancient portal and pressed down on Ling Xiao from all directions. Hua Ziyang stood tall in the sky, his entire body shrouded in purple clouds. He looked mysterious and majestic, like an ancient great emperor. His aura was monstrous. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He could also sense an endless destructive force from the purple thunderbolts. This was the origin of the purple heavenly thunder. It could split the world apart and destroy it. Even a sage would not be able to withstand it. However, Ling Xiao's expression was calm. Bolts of lightning appeared in his palm. In the end, his body shone brightly, forming a mysterious resonance with the world. Wang! A blazing beam of light shot out from between Ling Xiao's brows, and a vertical eye appeared. In that instant, the heavens and earth shook, and the sun and moon lost their light. Endless blazing lightning gathered around Ling Xiao. Break! Ling Xiao roared. His voice was like the majesty of the heavens, containing an unfathomable majesty. Bolts of lightning raged in the sky. The vertical eye between Ling Xiao's eyebrows was like the eye of the heavens. It was the origin of all lightning. In an instant, it turned into a vast devouring vortex. Rumble. Before the purple heavenly thunder from Hua Ziyang could reach Ling Xiao, it was devoured by the vertical eye between his eyebrows. This is, the heaven's punishment secret skill. Hua Ziyang's body shook. His eyes revealed a trace of disbelief. The heaven's punishment secret skill was the supreme offensive skill of the 9 imperial gates. It was extremely powerful and terrifying. It was said that in the entire 9 imperial gates, only the emperor could perform the complete heaven's punishment secret skill. But how could Ling Xiao know the heaven's punishment secret skill? Boom! Before Hua Ziyang could think clearly, he saw an even brighter light gathering between Ling Xiao's eyebrows. In an instant, it turned into a 9-colored beam of light and shot towards Hua Ziyang. That 9-colored light beam contained 9 types of thunder origins. When they intertwined, it caused the void to change and the sun and moon to shake. It was even more terrifying than Hua Ziyang's purple heaven godly thunder. Is this the legendary heaven's punishment secret skill? This Long Out Yen is a minor war god from the War God Temple. Isn't the War God Temple and the 9 imperial obelisk mortal enemies? How does he know the heaven's punishment secret technique? What do you think will happen if the emperor finds out that Long Out Yen has the heavenly punishment secret skill? Hee, how is it? The heavenly prince is so domineering. He will definitely kill Long Out Yen and take back the heavenly punishment secret skill. When the crowd saw Ling Xiao execute the Heaven's Punishment secret skill, they were all extremely shocked as they discussed with different expressions. Boom! In the face of Ling Xiao's Heaven's Punishment secret skill, the blood qi around Hua Ziyang exploded. A purple divine sun rose behind him, containing a vast and mysterious aura of the Great Tao. In the purple divine sun, a blazing saber light rose. In an instant, it turned into a huge saber aura and slashed towards Ling Xiao. Is it the heavenly Tao blood saber again? Ling Xiao's eyes lit up as he muttered to himself. He had long coveted Hua Ziyang's heavenly Tao blood saber. The heavenly Tao blood saber contained some kind of karmic power. It was unparalleled in killing and had no regrets. It would definitely kill and drink the blood of the enemy. It was extremely strange. Boom! The nine-colored bolt of lightning collided with the purple blood blade, exploding with scorching divine light. The bolts of lightning all mysteriously dissipated. The heavenly Tao blood saber seemed to have silently devoured the nine-colored lightning. Then, it slashed towards Ling Xiao with an even more terrifying might. Hua Ziyang, hand over the cultivation technique of the heavenly Tao blood saber and I can spare your life. Ha ha ha. Ling Xiao laughed loudly. His eyes were extremely sharp and his attacks were even more terrifying. He put his palms together and rays of reincarnation divine light burst out. An ancient and mysterious world vaguely appeared. Boom! The heavenly Tao blood saber slashed into that world, stirring up boundless wind and clouds. Ling Xiao's body exuded mysterious fluctuations of fate. He slammed his palms forward and the world collapsed. Even the heavenly Tao blood saber was destroyed. However, the heavenly Tao blood saber's light was too sharp. Bloody wounds appeared on Ling Xiao's hands. Golden blood dripped down, causing the void to tremble. Long Outyen, you dare to covet the heavenly Tao blood saber? You're courting death. Hua Ziyang was immediately enraged. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Rumble. Blazing saber light soared into the sky, filling the sky with afterimages. A vast emperor's aura emerged from it. Vaguely, there seemed to be a great emperor's phantom in the void. It held an astral saber and slashed towards Ling Xiao. Purple divine light rose and intertwined. The purple astral saber was like the incarnation of the heavenly Tao. It slashed across the sky and destroyed everything. It was extremely domineering. When the heavenly Tao blood saber attacked, it had to kill. Although Ling Xiao had destroyed the heavenly Tao blood saber earlier, the heavenly Tao blood saber contained the power of karma. It appeared again, and its aura was even more terrifying. Kill! Ling Xiao's blood and qi surged. He formed an invincible fist seal and chaotic qi spread out. His fist light was extremely domineering as it met the heavenly Tao blood saber. Clang! 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 In the void, the sound of metal clashing could be heard. Sparks flew everywhere. The saber light and fist light shattered at the same time, creating a terrifying storm. Both of Ling Xiao's fists were badly mangled. His golden bones creaked. Every time they collided with the heavenly Tao blood saber, large pieces of flesh would fly out. Ling Xiao's eyes were blazing. His battle intent soared. It was as if he didn't notice his injuries at all. He continued to clash with the heavenly Tao blood saber. Wang! Mysterious energy from the heavenly Tao blood saber flowed through Ling Xiao's arms and into his body. Sensing the mysterious energy, the wordless heavenly book in Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness shone brightly. It kept devouring that energy, and gradually, the aura of karma appeared. Kill! Hua Ziyang's eyes were cruel. After the heavenly Tao blood saber devoured Ling Xiao's flesh and blood, it became even sharper. The saber light seemed to have condensed into a solid form. It was like a purple ancient divine saber that was devouring Ling Xiao's flesh and blood. Rumble. Hua Ziyang's body was surrounded by purple light. In an instant, dozens of black shadows appeared. They all had wings on their backs and sharp fangs in their mouths. They screeched and charged towards Ling Xiao. Chapter 2199. Go to hell. Hua Ziyang's eyes flashed with a hint of satisfaction. The Heaven's Path purple blood saber in his hand flew towards Ling Xiao's forehead. His attack was incomparably ruthless, wanting to kill Ling Xiao directly. The Heaven's Path purple blood saber was extremely fast, not giving Ling Xiao any time to react. Pooh! Ling Xiao seemed to have really been bound by Hua Ziyang, and there was no way for him to resist. The Heaven's Path purple blood saber pierced through his forehead, and blood spurted out in an instant. This time, even if the primeval emperor comes back to life, he won't be able to save you. Hua Ziyang's eyes were filled with incomparable ruthlessness, and his killing intent was blazing. His hatred for Ling Xiao had reached the extreme. The Heaven's Path purple blood saber could devour all life. After piercing through the forehead, it would definitely devour the primordial spirit and destroy all existence. Hua Ziyang believed that Ling Xiao was definitely going to die this time. Is that so? Ling Xiao's expression was indifferent and calm, as though he wasn't surprised at all. His eyes were incomparably bright as he stared at Hua Ziyang. Hua Ziyang's expression changed, and he suddenly felt an incomparable sense of danger. He discovered that the Heaven's Path purple blood saber that had pierced through Ling Xiao's forehead was no longer flowing out. Instead, the Heaven's Path purple blood saber had actually disappeared into Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness. Boom! The violent energy around Ling Xiao exploded, and his fist landed on Hua Ziyang's chest. Kacha! Hua Ziyang's body trembled violently, and his chest caved in. His ribs were all broken, and he spat out mouthfuls of blood. His entire body was sent flying. What? Everyone couldn't help but exclaim in shock, and they were all stunned. Hua Ziyang's Heaven's Path purple blood saber was too vicious, to the point that everyone thought that Ling Xiao was definitely going to die. But they didn't expect such a huge reversal. The Heaven's Path purple blood saber had mysteriously disappeared, and Ling Xiao's strength was not affected at all. He unleashed a shocking blow towards Hua Ziyang. This punch contained all the strength in Ling Xiao's body, causing Hua Ziyang to suffer heavy injuries. How is this possible? How did you block the Heaven's Path purple blood saber? Hua Ziyang's eyes were filled with disbelief, and his face was extremely ugly. The blood-violet blade was capable of devouring blood and all life. As he saw it, now that the blood-violet blade had entered Ling Xiao's Yuan spirit, Ling Xiao was dead for sure. The heavenly Dao blood-violet blade is indeed very powerful. Hua Ziyang, if you hand over the cultivation method of the heavenly blood-violet blade to me right now, I'll leave your corpse intact. How about it? Ling Xiao said with a smile. Qi and blood rose around him, and the dragon's roar shook the sky. Golden divine light shrouded his body, making him look unstoppable, like an undefeatable god of war. When Hua Ziyang had stabbed out with the sky blood purple blade, Ling Xiao had not blocked it. He had allowed it to enter his knowledge sea and then activated the wordless heaven book to devour it completely. As expected, after the wordless heaven book had devoured the heavenly Dao blood violet blade, it had extracted a portion of the secret art of karma, making his secret art of karma complete. Ling Xiao was excited. If he could obtain the cultivation method of the heavenly Dao blood violet blade, not only would he obtain this supreme monarch art, but he would also be able to extract the secret art of karma from it, making his secret art of karma complete. The heavenly Dao blood violet blade itself was derived from the secret art of karma, and it contained the true meaning of the secret art of karma. Long Out Yen, if you want the heavenly Dao blood violet blade, you'll have to defeat me first. Today, either you die, or I die. Hua Ziyang roared, and a beast-like roar came from his mouth. Black death chi flowed around him, and he instantly transformed into his Jiangchen form, charging towards Ling Xiao. Boom! His enormous wings covered the sky, and they were incomparably sharp. They were like swords, stabbing towards Ling Xiao's vital points. At the same time, black divine light surged around Hua Ziyang's body, causing his aura to skyrocket. The sharp fangs in his mouth flashed with cold light, and he bit towards Ling Xiao's neck. He hated Ling Xiao to the extreme, and at the same time, he was extremely shocked. He had obtained a great opportunity this time, and he thought that even if he met Ling Xiao, he would be able to kill him and avenge the humiliation he had suffered. However, he did not expect Ling Xiao's strength to be so terrifying. Every move he made had the power to destroy the world. Not only was his Jiangshan form inferior to Ling Xiao's, but even the heavenly Dao blood violet blade was suppressed by Ling Xiao once again. Boom! Ling Xiao and Hua Ziyang clashed fiercely in the sky. Every time they clashed, it was as if a volcano was erupting, and the world was collapsing. On the other side, the old goat, Daoist Wu Yang, and Feng Qingyang were fighting against the 8 Stygian zombies. Although the 8 Stygian zombies were powerful and fearless, and their bodies were invulnerable, after a long battle, the old goat and the other 2 had found their weakness. The Stygian zombies were most afraid of the power of the extreme Yang. The old goat used the devouring fire to seal their perception of the world around them. At the same time, Daoist Wu Yang controlled the sword formation, and Feng Qingyang summoned the sacred sun fire to surround and kill the 8 Stygian zombies. Without Hua Ziyang's command, and the old goat and the other 2 did not fall into their battle formation, the 8 Stygian zombies quickly fell into a disadvantageous position, and casualties began to appear. Boom! A Stygian zombie was engulfed by the devouring fire, and was cut into several pieces by Daoist Wu Yang's sword formation. It was completely burned to ashes. Roar! 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 The other Stygian zombies were also shocked and angry. They began to roar, and fearlessly attacked the old goat and the other 2, without any regard for their own casualties. However, there was still a gap in strength between them and the old goat and the other 2. Therefore, after the first casualty, the next 7 Stygian zombies all died in the hands of the old goat and the other 2. In the void, the black light of death surged violently, and a murderous aura rose. The 8 Stygian zombies at the 3rd stage of the heaven-treading realm all died just like that. The old goat and the other 2 also gave it their all and unleashed their strongest battle strength. After the 8 black god zombies were killed, the 3 of them also exhausted their cultivation. In the end, only Hua Ziyang was left. Could it be that this kid Hua Ziyang has really joined the zombie clan? The old goat asked curiously. It's hard to say. However, to be able to have 8 Stygian zombies as subordinates, Hua Ziyang must have obtained an extraordinary opportunity. It might be the inheritance of some mighty figure of the zombie clan. Chapter 2200. Any one of the 8 black god zombies was as strong as an ancient prodigy. That was why Jin Se was injured when she fought with them. Old Goat and the other 2 killed all the black god zombies in the end, but they also paid a heavy price. They naturally suspected that Hua Ziyang had something to do with the zombies, especially since Hua Ziyang had the body of generals and ministers. This wasn't an ordinary opportunity or fortune. Rumble. Up in the air, Ling Xiao and Hua Ziyang were fighting with all their might. Every time they collided, the power of their attacks was terrifying. It was as if they could destroy everything. If it wasn't for the sky-burying coffin, which formed its own law and made the void extremely firm, everything within a radius of 10,000 miles would be completely destroyed. Asterisk buzz. Asterisk divine light surged around Hua Ziyang, and 3 great Dao immortal flowers appeared above his head. Each flower was shrouded in chaotic mist, and there seemed to be 3 little people sitting cross-legged in it. Hua Ziyang's aura suddenly skyrocketed. One could vaguely see that the 3 little people were each holding a small sword, and they revealed an extremely dangerous aura. This is the heaven realm. Someone exclaimed, and his voice trembled unconsciously. Hua Ziyang condensed 3 great Dao immortal flowers, which meant that he had broken the limit 3 times and become a legendary heaven realm expert. One should know that in the entire chaotic ancient land, the number of people who could become heaven realm experts could be counted on one hand. In the entire human race, only Tianzi was able to do so. Hua Ziyang is a heaven realm expert. How did he do it? I heard that among the three realms of heaven treading, the human realm and the earth realm are slightly easier, but the heaven realm is extremely difficult because it represents the realm of perfection. Now we call it the three realms of heaven treading, but in ancient times, it was called the 12th layer of the half-saint realm. I've also heard that the 12th layer of the half-saint realm is the peak of the half-saint realm. After proving one's Tao, one will become an invincible saint and can sweep across the saint realm. It seems that Hua Ziyang has been pushed to the limit by Long Outyen, so he's starting to use all his strength. Everyone was excited. Being able to witness a battle between two peerless geniuses was definitely a great benefit for them. After the three great Tao immortal flowers appeared above Hua Ziyang's head, his aura became incomparably violent, making Ling Xiao feel an intense threat. The grand Tao celestial flowers swayed in the wind. The petals were sparkling and translucent, emitting a fragrance. Hua Ziyang's body emitted a holy light. He actually had a kind of impenetrable aura. Human slaughter. Hua Ziyang's eyes were cold as he shouted. In an instant, the celestial flower of the great path that was sitting cross-legged on the human sovereign's body shone with boundless light. The small sword in the human sovereign's hand also flew up into the sky and slashed down towards Ling Xiao like a beam of celestial light. Rumble. The small sword looked extremely light, but when it reached the top of Ling Xiao's head, it expanded to tens of thousands of feet long and came crashing down. Flip sky seal, break. A terrifying aura rose around Ling Xiao, and the flipping sky seal flew out from between his eyebrows. It emitted infinite divine light and collided with the small sword. Buzz! The small sword buzzed, and in the next moment, the sword radiance shattered. The small sword flew out and floated in front of Hua Ziyang again. Earth slaughter. Hua Ziyang's expression remained the same as he roared once again. The small sword in the second celestial flower of the great path also flew out and merged with the first small sword. Its power increased sharply and it continued to slash towards Ling Xiao. Rumble. Under Ling Xiao's control, the flipping sky seal collided with the second small sword, creating an endless divine light storm. In the end, the flipping sky seal and the small sword flew out at the same time. Heaven slaughter, reincarnation slash. Murderous intent flashed in Hua Ziyang's eyes as he shouted again. Rumble. At this moment, the three great Tao immortal flowers shone brightly at the same time. The sword radiance in the three celestial flower of the great path soared into the sky and turned into an ancient sword in the void. Hua Ziyang held the ancient sword in his hand, and his aura was extremely terrifying. As he slashed down, the mysterious aura of life and death filled the air. The sword seemed to want to send Ling Xiao directly into the reincarnation cycle. It was extremely domineering. When Ling Xiao saw the sword, a strange look appeared in his eyes. Rumble. He clasped his hands together, and his fingers were as clear as jade. His speed was extremely fast, and his movements were ingenious. He caught the sword directly between his palms. An aura of reincarnation spread out. With Ling Xiao's palms as the center, an ancient and mysterious world vaguely appeared and enveloped Hua Ziyang. The fierce aura of Hua Ziyang's sword instantly disappeared without a trace. Hua Ziyang was stunned. He pointed at Ling Xiao and said, You. How can you know the secret skill of reincarnation? His reincarnation triple kill was based on the cultivation of the heaven realm and combined with the power of the human master, earthly master, and celestial master to explode with terrifying killing power. This move could kill a sage. However, he did not expect Ling Xiao to know the secret skill of reincarnation from the Samsara temple and completely destroy his reincarnation triple kill. Thinking about it carefully, Ling Xiao knew the heaven fighting secret skill, heaven's punishment secret skill, and the secret skill of reincarnation. These three heavenly skills were all in Ling Xiao's hands. Why can't I know the secret skill of reincarnation? However, although your reincarnation triple kill is based on the secret skill of reincarnation, isn't it a little too flawed? Ling Xiao sneered. Sharp radiance shot out from his palms, and he slammed his palm towards Hua Ziyang. It contained an energy fluctuation that could destroy everything. Rumble. Hua Ziyang's body trembled violently. He was caught off guard and was sent flying by Ling Xiao's attack. In the void, endless divine light gushed out. After Ling Xiao succeeded in his attack, he did not stop. His attacks were like a violent storm, and the sky was filled with blazing palm prints and fist radiance. They continuously bombarded Hua Ziyang's body. Puff! Although Hua Ziyang's physical body was strong and his strength was extraordinary, he was unable to withstand Ling Xiao's terrifying attacks. In addition, Ling Xiao used the heaven-devouring secret skill to continuously devour Hua Ziyang's cultivation. As a result, Hua Ziyang's strength was getting weaker and weaker. He kept coughing out blood, and his breathing became chaotic. His face was pale and filled with fear. Is Hua Ziyang going to lose? Everyone could not help but tremble. They felt that the outcome of this battle was finally going to be decided. Rumble. Ling Xiao's eyes shone with a dazzling light as he slammed his fist down. The light of the primal chaos exploded, and the heavens and earth were destroyed. The light of the sun and moon dimmed, and the boundless fist imprint instantly drowned Hua Ziyang. Chapter 2201. Hua Ziyang's body of generals and ministers had already reached its limit. It was as though he was unable to withstand Ling Xiao's domineering punch. His entire body trembled violently before exploding. Boom! In the void, black divine light bloomed and turned into a terrifying storm. Following Hua Ziyang's roars and screams, his body completely disintegrated. Black blood filled the air and revealed an extremely strange aura. It was extremely tragic. Ling Xiao stood in the sky, his body surrounded by a dazzling golden glow. His eyes were like swords, and his entire body exuded a vast aura. This scene completely shocked everyone. Hua Ziyang was so powerful and terrifying, but he was killed by Ling Xiao in such a tragic manner. Everyone looked at Ling Xiao in awe and veneration. Prince Ziyang is a supreme genius of the Chinese. He died in the hands of Long Outyen just like that. That's too terrifying. Long Outyen has formed a deadly feud with the Chinese. I'm afraid the Chinese won't let him off when the Chosen One ends. I think Long Outyen can be considered as the strongest person below the Heavenly Prince. His combat strength is truly admirable. I'm also starting to think highly of Long Outyen. If he doesn't die, his name will definitely shake the heavens. Everyone was discussing in low voices. Ha ha ha. I knew that bastard Hua Ziyang would definitely die. Ling Xiao is getting more and more perverted. He only broke the limit once, and with the cultivation of a human venerable, he can actually kill a heavenly venerable. This guy is going to ascend to the heavens. The old goat and Taoist Wuyang secretly clicked their tongues. Their eyes were filled with excitement, and their hearts that were hanging in the air also calmed down. Feng Qingyang stared at Ling Xiao with burning eyes. He was unwilling to admit defeat, but after thinking about it, he smiled bitterly and shook his head. Although he had become Ling Xiao's follower, he was unwilling to admit defeat. However, at this moment, he had to admit that the gap between him and Ling Xiao was getting bigger and bigger. Ling Xiao, is he that Ling Xiao? There was a trace of confusion in Jin Sei's eyes. The Ling Xiao in front of her and the figure in the depths of her memories were becoming more and more similar. They were even beginning to overlap. She cultivated the way of the great oblivion, so her state of mind was as tranquil as an ancient well. Nothing could affect her emotions. However, after seeing Ling Xiao, for some reason, her heart was in a mess. At this moment, Ling Xiao floated in the air. There was no trace of joy on his face as he frowned slightly. He didn't know why, but he felt that Hua Ziyang was still a little weak. He was not as strong as he had imagined. At most, he was equivalent to an Earth Realm expert. Moreover, as a talent of the Chinese, he didn't even have a powerful emperor's possession. This feeling was incomparably strange. His primordial spirit doesn't seem to be complete. Ling Xiao's eyes shone brightly. He seemed to have thought of something and his heart skipped a beat. What no one noticed was that after Hua Ziyang was killed by Ling Xiao, the blood mist that filled the sky was silently absorbed by the sky-burying treasure coffin. Black runes began to intertwine on the sky-burying treasure coffin. Streaks of light were enshrouding the coffin, faintly forming a mysterious figure. Rumble. Suddenly, the sky-burying treasure coffin shook violently as if there were endless lightning roaring. The surrounding void shook and endless divine light gushed out from the sky-burying treasure coffin. A crack actually slowly appeared on the huge lid of the heaven-burying coffin. It was like the sky had split open. Blazing light gushed out from the crack, roaring like a hurricane. It emitted an ancient, dignified, and mysterious aura. "Who is that?" someone exclaimed. His face was extremely pale and his heart was pounding. It was the first time they had seen such a change in the sky-burying treasure coffin. When the lid opened, it was as if some kind of ancient ferocious beast was about to crawl out. The aura was so terrifying that everyone couldn't help but tremble and retreat. Roar! A roar like an ancient ferocious beast came from the sky-burying treasure coffin, shaking the sky. A terrifying hurricane erupted and a figure slowly emerged from the sky-burying treasure coffin. The figure was a young man. He was slender and handsome with a pair of wings on his back and fangs in his mouth. The fangs shone with golden light as if they were made of pure gold. At this moment, his eyes were closed as if he had been sealed. His entire body exuded an ancient aura. He was majestic and mysterious, like an ancient emperor. People couldn't help but worship him. Hua Ziyang. A sharp light flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes as he spat out a few words. He realized that the young man's face was exactly the same as Hua Ziyang's. However, he looked more majestic and mysterious than Hua Ziyang. His aura was also completely different. Ling Xiao's heart was unsettled. Hua Ziyang had already been killed by him, but who was this person who looked exactly like Hua Ziyang in the sky-burying treasure coffin? Kacha! The young man's tightly shut eyes suddenly opened. It was as if the sky and earth were being split open. Two rays of dazzling divine light pierced through the sky, containing a power that could annihilate everything. Anyone who met the young man's gaze felt their eyes rise as if they had been attacked. Traces of blood flowed out of their eyes as they screamed in pain. Rumble. The young man took a big gulp. Suddenly, a terrifying storm was set off in the void. His mouth was like a huge devouring vortex, swallowing all the origin energy around him. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled around him. Endless divine light rose and the vast principle of Great Way descended. It was as if heaven and earth were shaking at the same time, making the young man's aura more majestic and ancient. Finally, his eyes fell on Ling Xiao. He said indifferently, "I can be born in advance thanks to you for killing my cauldron. However, you killed 8 people of my zombie tribe, so your merits offset your faults. I won't hold you accountable." "Who are you?" Ling Xiao asked indifferently. He could feel that the young man in front of him made him feel a great threat. This young man's strength was far beyond Hua Ziyang's. "I'm the Heavenly Corpse Emperor's son," the young man said indifferently, with a kind of arrogant attitude. His attitude towards Ling Xiao was incomparably arrogant, like an ant overlooking a divine dragon. However, he completely ignored the others, as if he didn't give them the slightest face. Heavenly Corpse Emperor Prince? Ling Xiao's heart trembled. Although the name was unfamiliar, the Heavenly Corpse Emperor Prince had rushed out of the sky-burying treasure coffin. In addition, the title of Emperor Prince was not something that could be used casually. One's ancestor must be at the level of a great emperor and possess the bloodline of a great emperor. Ling Xiao didn't expect that the mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. Hua Ziyang, who he had set his eyes on, had already become the cauldron of the Heavenly Corpse Emperor Prince. Chapter 2202. Whether you are Long Out Yen or Ling Xiao, you are not worth mentioning to me. You and I have no grudge against each other, so I will not attack you today. However, the position of the Chosen One will belong to me, and I will kill anyone who dares to stop me. The Heaven Corpse Emperor Prince said coldly. His voice was full of killing intent, as if it contained a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. I have a grudge against Hua Ziyang, but I have no grudge against you. Now that Hua Ziyang is dead, I have no grudge against him. As long as you don't provoke me, I will not attack you. Ling Xiao said lightly. He instinctively disliked the zombie clan, but the Heaven Corpse Emperor Prince in front of him did not show any hostility, so he did not intend to fight with the Heaven Corpse Emperor Prince. He was now thinking, could it be that there was an expert of the zombie clan buried in the sky-burying coffin? Although the sky-burying coffin had only opened a small gap, Ling Xiao vaguely felt that there seemed to be a mysterious world hidden in the sky-burying coffin, which made him extremely shocked. He vaguely felt that the sky-burying coffin contained an extremely shocking secret. Attack me? What a joke. If it wasn't for the fact that I didn't want to kill you, you would already be a dead man. I hope you know what to do. The Heaven Corpse Emperor Prince looked coldly at Ling Xiao, then directly rose into the sky, turned into a black divine rainbow, and instantly disappeared into the horizon. Ling Xiao frowned slightly. He could feel that the Heaven Corpse Emperor Prince was very hostile to him, but the Heaven Corpse Emperor Prince left in a hurry, as if he had something important to do. Ling Xiao, are you okay? Jean Sei was a little hesitant, but she still walked up to Ling Xiao and asked lightly. I'm fine. Jean Sei, it's so good to see you again. Ling Xiao's face showed an extremely bright smile, and he was sincerely happy. Although Jean Sei still did not remember him, and although Jean Sei treated him like a stranger, Ling Xiao had enough patience to wait for her to remember everything. I seem to have seen you before. Jean Sei said slowly. What? Ling Xiao's body trembled, and he suddenly raised his head, his eyes full of inexplicable surprise. I made a wish to the sky-burying coffin to recover my lost memories, but I still failed. I once saw your figure in the depths of my memories. Jean Sei said indifferently. Jince, you thought of me. Do you remember what happened between us? Ling Xiao was pleasantly surprised as he said excitedly. No, I just remember you. Jean Sei shook her head. Her expression was still very calm, as if nothing could change her emotions. It's all right, it's all right. I can wait, Jince. I believe that you will definitely regain your lost memories. Ling Xiao said seriously. His heart was filled with excitement. The fact that Jean Sei remembered him gave him endless hope. He was more and more convinced that Jean Sei would be able to recover her lost memories. The old goat and Taoist Wu Yang were also grinning from ear to ear. They were happy for Ling Xiao. Hua Ziyang was dead. As the supreme talent of the Hua clan had high hopes for him. Many elders of the Hua clan hoped that he could become the chosen one, sweep away everything and restore the glory of the Hua clan. However, today, Hua Ziyang's primordial spirit token was completely shattered. Among the Hua clan, there were countless experts guarding a bronze divine palace. Many figures with terrifying auras were sitting cross-legged. Their faces were extremely solemn, filled with anger and shock. These were the strongest forces of the Hua clan. The weakest of them was at the sage realm. There were even many great sages among them. Their auras were terrifying as if they could annihilate everything. At the head of the table was a handsome young man in a purple robe. He was sitting cross-legged on a futon. His eyes were filled with vicissitudes of life, bright and majestic. It was as if countless lives had been annihilated in them. Although everyone in the divine palace was furious, they restrained themselves in front of this young man. Their eyes were filled with respect. This young man in a purple robe was the clan leader of the Hua clan, Hua Yunkong. Hua Ziyang died in the chaotic ancient land. According to the news, he was killed by a brat called Long Outyin. Everyone, speak up if you have any opinions. The young man in a purple robe said calmly. Long Outyin from the War God Temple. They must have a death wish. How dare they kill a prodigy of the Hua clan? Even the chaotic heavenly sect and the Samsara temple wouldn't have the guts to do so. The War God Temple should be destroyed. Many elders of the Hua clan were filled with righteous indignation. Their eyes were blazing with killing intent. Clan leader, I've heard a piece of news recently. Perhaps you'll be interested. Hua Xiong suddenly said with a cold smile. What is it? Hua Yunkong asked calmly. Do you remember 20 years ago when the gate of the God realm was in turmoil? The sacred land sent people to the lower realm to look for the wordless heavenly book. However, no one returned in the end. Hua Xiong said. Of course. It's said that the people sent by the sacred lands died in the hands of a brat called Ling Xiao. The wordless heavenly book is also in Ling Xiao's hands. An elder said slowly. That's right. However, I'm afraid you didn't know that Long Out Yen has another name, Ling Xiao. Moreover, he also knows the sky-devouring secret skill, sky-shrouding secret skill, heaven-fighting secret skill, reincarnation secret skill, and karma secret skill. Don't you find it strange? Hua Xiong said with a cold smile. What? His name is Ling Xiao and he knows so many secret skills. Could he be the Ling Xiao from the lower realm? Someone trembled and cried out in alarm. Hua Xiong nodded and said, I think it's most likely. This Ling Xiao is extremely cunning. He changed his name to Long Out Yen and joined the Combat God Temple. However, as he became stronger and more famous, he revealed more of his trump cards. I suspect that the wordless heavenly book is in his hands. If that's the case, then he has to die. An elder said with a murderous look. He killed Hua Xiang who was in the heaven realm with his human realm cultivation and knows so many heaven skills and secret skills. He does have some secrets. If the wordless heavenly book is in his hands, I'm afraid we're not the only ones who know about it. The old monsters of the other sacred lands should know about it too. Hua Yunkong said slowly. There were wisps of purple divine light in his eyes. They were extremely sharp. Clan leader, my guess is correct. Whether it's because he killed Hua Xiang or because he has the wordless heavenly book, he has to die. I'll bring my men to the entrance of the chaotic ancient land. Once he appears, we'll take him down immediately. Hua Xiong said coldly. No. This time, I'll do it myself. If we can get the wordless heavenly book, we'll be able to dominate the universe again and become the Lord of the Age. Hua Yunkong stood up slowly. A terrifying aura was emitted from his body. Rumble. The entire divine bronze palace shook violently. The great Tao law around him shone brightly. The elders looked at him with reverence and fanaticism as if he was the king of the universe. Chapter 2203. The news of Ling Xiao killing Hua Ziyang in the sky-burying coffin quickly spread across the entire chaotic ancient land. Countless geniuses in the 108 holy cities were shaken. The death of Prince Ziyang of the Hua clan caused Ling Xiao's reputation to soar. At the same time, the undercurrents in the chaotic ancient land became even more turbulent. However, this matter didn't last for long. Soon, another earth-shattering event shook the entire chaotic ancient land. Mysterious words floated above each of the 108 ancient cities. They recorded that the final creation of the chaotic ancient land was about to open. To become the chosen one must first become a guardian of the 108 holy cities. The chosen one would be chosen from the guardians of the 108 holy cities. The time limit was 1 month. The chaos battlefield would open in 1 month and the chosen one would be chosen. Everyone in the primal chaos ancient land was excited. Their eyes were filled with eagerness. They couldn't wait to sweep through the countless geniuses in the primal chaos ancient land and become the chosen one. The originally peaceful primal chaos ancient land was in an uproar. In a short period of time, a few of the guardians of the 108 holy cities were killed and replaced by geniuses. They completely refined the ancient seals and controlled the life and death of the holy cities. Many people discovered during this process that most of the guardians in the holy cities didn't completely control the ancient seals. It was as if someone had deliberately arranged for them to be replaced. This thought made people shudder. They felt as if there was a pair of omniscient and omnipotent eyes in the sky above the chaotic ancient land watching everything. However, under the temptation of the Chosen One, more and more people began to participate in the battle. Countless geniuses died almost every day, becoming white bones beneath the feet of the Chosen One. At this moment, Ling Xiao, Jin Se, and the others had left the sky-burying coffin and arrived at an extremely mysterious region. This place was filled with chaotic mist. It was as ethereal as a sea of clouds. Mountains floated in the sea of clouds, shrouded in steaming auspicious vapors. They flickered with resplendent lights. It looked extremely peaceful. At a closer look, the mountains were glowing with five-colored light. They contained the power of the five elements. They intertwined and flowed with each other, looking perfect. Jin Se, is this the Avalon of five elements you mentioned? It looks quite unique. But is there really the elemental spirits of the five elements here? The old goat looked at the region in front of him and asked curiously. After leaving the sky-burying coffin, Jin Se had told Ling Xiao and the others about the Avalon of five elements. It turned out that after entering the chaotic ancient land, Jin Se had accidentally entered the Avalon of five elements and obtained a great opportunity. She even refined the elemental spirit of the five elements and broke the limit once. Peak human realm. The elemental spirits of the five elemental spirits of the five elements. If one could refine the spirit of the five elemental spirits of the five elemental spirit of the five elements of the five elemental spirits of the five elemental Tao, of the five elemental Tao. 1. However, the five elemental primordial spirits were too rare. Even Jin Se had only found one. That's right. This is the Avalon of five elements. It nurtures the elemental spirits of the five elements. I once refined the elemental spirit of the five elements here. There is also a five elemental ancient tablet in the center. Only when the moon is full will there be some changes, but I haven't been able to find out anything about it. Jin Se nodded and recounted what she saw and heard in the Avalon of five elements. The elemental spirits of the five elements were incomparably precious treasures even in ancient times. They were nurtured by the five elemental Tao and were difficult for ordinary people to obtain. However, Jin Se was able to discover the elemental spirits of the five elements. This means that this place is not simple. Let's split up and search. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he spoke slowly. All right. I also feel that this place is very special. Perhaps it was left behind by an expert. Let's search around. The unscrupulous Taoist said seriously, then gave the old goat a meaningful look. The old goat understood and immediately followed Taoist Wu Yang in another direction. Only Feng Qingyang was still standing there foolishly. The old goat immediately pulled Feng Qingyang over. What are you doing? Old goat, I want to follow junior sister Jin Se and protect her. Feng Qingyang said unwillingly. Follow Jin Se. Don't worry. With Ling Xiao around, nothing will happen to Jin Se. Aren't you afraid of being an eyesore? Let's go. I'll teach you the devouring sky and sun erosion. How about it? The old goat said softly as he slapped the back of Feng Qingyang's head with his hoof. Feng Qingyang was originally furious and was about to explode. However, when he heard the devouring sky and sun erosion mentioned by the old goat, his eyes lit up and he immediately became interested. You're not lying to me. Don't worry. I do things openly and honorably. Why would I lie to you? Then, all right. Feng Qingyang and the old goat said one after another and quickly left the place, leaving Ling Xiao and Jin Se behind. Jin Se, where are we going? Ling Xiao felt a little awkward, but on the surface, he acted as if nothing had happened and smiled at Jin Se. Let's go ahead and take a look. I feel that the five elements' energy there is very dense. Jin Se said indifferently. She acted as if she did not hear the words of Feng Qingyang and the old goat. Her expression was indifferent as she slowly walked forward. All right, you have the final say. Ling Xiao revealed a brilliant smile and chased after Jin Se. When they arrived at this place, Ling Xiao felt that the wordless heavenly book was acting strangely. Especially in places where the five elements' energy was dense, the wordless heavenly book was especially excited. Therefore, Ling Xiao also felt that this place was not simple. There was probably something that the wordless heavenly book was interested in. However, Ling Xiao did not care about that and allowed Jin Sei to lead the way. He enjoyed the time alone with Jin Sei and it made him very happy. As long as he was by Jin Sei's side, he would be very happy. Jin Sei brought Ling Xiao to a place between two mountains. There was a long and narrow valley there, with steep cliffs on both sides. The valley was only wide enough for two people to walk side by side. But at this moment, the valley was filled with clouds and mist, and the silence was somewhat frightening. No one knew where this valley led to. Chapter 2204. Ding dong. At this moment, a strange sound wave came from the front. It sounded like the sound of a zither, as melodious as the sound of flowing water. It also sounded like a pure song that could pierce through the void and directly penetrate one's soul. The mist slowly dispersed as the laughter of young women drifted over. It was as though they had entered a brand new world. Ling Xiao and Jin Sei saw a group of women in feathered robes dancing in front of them. Each of them was tall and slender, with jade-like skin. Their countenances were incomparably beautiful. In front of the group of women, there were 5 long tables filled with rare fruits and delicacies. 5 figures sat cross-legged behind the tables, enjoying the dance in front of them with great interest. A red-robed elder, a white-robed youth, a green-robed lady, a black-robed old woman, and a yellow-robed middle-aged man. The auras of the 5 figures were completely different, but they were incomparably harmonious with each other, as if they could fuse together. It presented a different kind of balance and beauty. Isn't it a pleasure to have guests from afar? My 2 young friends, it's fate that we meet. Why don't you come over for a chat? The red-robed elder couldn't help but laugh when he saw Ling Xiao and Jin Sei. What a handsome young man. This little sister is also an outstanding beauty. I'm so jealous. The green-robed lady also smiled charmingly, but the aura around her was incomparably pure and contained a majestic aura of life. The black-robed old woman and the yellow-robed middle-aged man also smiled and greeted Ling Xiao and Jin Sei. Only the white-robed youth seemed a little cold, and the aura around him was incomparably sharp. Thank you, seniors. Since that's the case, I won't stand on ceremony. Ling Xiao and Jin Sei looked at each other and then smiled slightly. His expression was very calm, but his heart was somewhat shaken. The 5 figures in front of him emitted the aura of the 5 elements, but Ling Xiao couldn't see through their cultivations at all. This meant that their cultivations were much higher than Ling Xiao's. They were at least sages, or even great sages. After Ling Xiao finished speaking, he and Jin Sei sat down in front of the 5 people. They looked very casual and unrestrained, and began to enjoy the song and dance in front of them. Soon, the song and dance ended. Light flashed around those beautiful women, and they slowly disappeared into the clouds. My young friend, you don't care about trifles and are natural and unrestrained. I like you very much. What brings you to the Avalon of 5 elements? The red-robed elder smiled at Ling Xiao. Elder, I came here naturally to look for the 5 elements' primordial spirits. I wonder if you have found anything. Ling Xiao rolled his eyes and said with a smile. Ling Xiao could feel that the cultivation of the 5 figures in front of him was unfathomable, but the qi of the 5 elements flowed around them. Perhaps they knew the whereabouts of the 5 elements' original spirits. Original spirits of the 5 elements? That's not something that just anyone can obtain. There are no more 5 elements primordial spirits here. Quickly go back. The white-robed youth who had been silent all this time suddenly sneered. That's right. Young friend, the 5 elemental primordial spirits are the most precious treasures of the Avalon of 5 elements. As the guardians of this place, the 5 of us cannot allow others to take them away. This is not a place you should be. You should go back. The green-dressed woman's expression also turned cold. Little friend, you should leave. The others also laughed bitterly. Ling Xiao could feel that the moment he mentioned the 5 elements primordial spirits, the attitudes of the 5 people changed instantly. Some of them even became hostile. Ling Xiao, there's no need to talk nonsense with them because they are the 5 elements primordial spirits. Jean Sei's eyes flashed as she said coldly. They are the 5 elements primordial spirits. Ling Xiao was also slightly stunned because he felt that the 5 people in front of him were living creatures with flesh and blood. How could they be the 5 elements primordial spirits? That's right. The 5 elements primordial spirits are crafty and good at transformation. The 5 people in front of us are merely transformed from the 5 elements primordial spirits. Jean Sei stared at the 5 people in front of her and said. The sword aura around her rose and instantly became incomparably sharp, as if it could wipe out everything. Whoosh! In an instant, blazing sword light shot out from Jean Sei's eyes and slashed towards the 5 people across the sky. It contained an indestructible power. Boom! The void in front of them trembled violently and the chaotic light exploded. The 5 figures disappeared in front of Ling Xiao and Jean Sei in an instant. In an instant, all the figures, rare fruits, and tables disappeared, leaving only a barren valley. In the void, there was an erratic laughter. Ha ha ha. I didn't expect it. Little girl, you can actually see through my identity? However, now that you've entered this seat's 5 elements universe grand formation, you can't escape at all. Obediently surrender. As the laughter sounded, the void shook violently. Rays of 5 elements divine light spread out. In an instant, the chaotic mist opened up and a mysterious and ancient world shrouded Ling Xiao and Jean Sei, rumble. There were whistling 5 elements squalls all around. Runes rose and divine chains of order intertwined together, containing endless killing intent. They covered the sky and covered the earth as they rushed towards Ling Xiao and Jean Sei, 5 elements universe grand formation. I was careless. I didn't expect the 5 elements origin spirit to be so cunning. Ling Xiao thought to himself. The 5 elements origin spirit was indeed very strange. The figures it created were so real that even he was fooled. If Jean Sei hadn't discovered it, he would probably still be in the valley. However, Ling Xiao didn't care about the so-called 5 elements universe formation. Although the power of the 5 elements was extremely strong, he had a few ways to break out of the formation. Crack! Before Ling Xiao could do anything, he saw sword essence rise in Jean Sei's eyes. With a crisp sound, Jean Sei drew her sword and exuded endless sword qi. The vast sword essence of yin and yang burst out. The ancient sword in her hand directly rushed into the sky. Boom! The runes and divine chains of order that descended towards her exploded. The yin and yang qi turned into a dazzling sword light that seemed to be able to split the world. It suddenly slashed into the sky. Crack! The sky directly shattered, spewing out endless void turbulence. A huge crack that was 1,000,000 miles long appeared. The originally incomparably sturdy 5 elements universe formation couldn't withstand a single blow from Jean Sei. Whoosh! Whoosh! Ling Xiao and Jean Sei rushed into the sky and directly rushed out of the 5 elements universe formation. This is the secret skill of yin and yang. Damn it, how can you know the secret skill of yin and yang? A flustered and exasperated voice rang out, containing an incomparably shocked fluctuation. Both Ling Xiao and Jean Sei raised their heads at the same time and saw a 5-colored sun floating in the sky. An incomparably ugly human face could be vaguely seen on the sun, staring at Ling Xiao and Jean Sei with widened eyes. This thing is the 5 elements origin spirit? Chapter 2205. The 5 elements origin spirit was too ugly. It looked like a round meatball. Although it exuded a 5-colored divine glow, its face was too ugly. It had different-sized eyes, a rosacea nose, and a crooked mouth. It looked as if someone had smashed it with a rock. It exuded an incomparably pure 5 elements aura, intertwined with the great Tao of the 5 elements. Without Jean Sei's introduction, Ling Xiao knew that it was the 5 elements origin spirit. 5 elements origin spirit, since you know that I have the yin-yang secret technique, will you surrender yourself or wait for me to beat you to death? Jinsei stared at the 5 elements primordial spirits and said coldly. Buzz. After Jinsei finished speaking, she exuded circles of yin-yang divine light, and the surrounding 5 elements origin spirit flowed into her body. Mist pervaded her body, making her look more ethereal. Chaos was divided into yin and yang were the 5 elements. Although yin and yang and the 5 elements were essentially great Taos, the great Tao of yin and yang could evolve the 5 elements origin spirit. To some extent, the yin-yang secret technique could restrain the 5 elements origin spirit. That was why the 5 elements origin spirit was so flustered and exasperated when it saw that Jinsei knew the yin-yang secret technique. The 5 elements origin spirit's eyes flashed, and it said to Jinsei, "All right. I know I'm not your opponent, but I don't want to die. I'll exchange a piece of information for my life. How about that? What information do you think is more valuable than your life?" Jinsei said coldly. The aura around her became sharper, as if she didn't intend to let the 5 elements origin spirit go. "I have information about the 5 elements secret technique. As long as you promise to spare my life, I'll tell you where it is. How about that? It's the 5 elements secret technique. If you get it, you can refine the connate 5 elements. By then, it'll be a piece of cake to break the limits of the physical body and become a saint." The 5 elements origin spirit shouted hurriedly. 5 elements secret technique? Ling Xiao and Jinsei looked at each other in surprise. You mean there's a 5 elements secret technique in the Avalon of 5 elements? Where is the 5 elements secret technique? Ling Xiao asked. I can tell you the elements secret technique, but you have to swear a heavenly oath, otherwise. I'll self-destruct, and you won't get anything. The 5 elements origin spirit said with certainty. All right. Ling Xiao and Jinsei thought about it for a moment and nodded. With their current cultivation, they couldn't easily make an oath to the heavenly Tao. Otherwise, it would cause a backlash from the heavenly Tao, and their souls would instantly disperse. Therefore, the heavenly oath had a very strong binding effect on them. However, Ling Xiao and Jinsei also had their own considerations. If they could obtain the 5 elements secret skill, even if they spared the 5 elements origin spirits, it was nothing. I, Ling Xiao, swear, Jinsei, swear. Ling Xiao and Jinsei both nodded and then swore an oath in their own name. As long as the 5 elements primordial spirits told them the whereabouts of the 5 elements secret technique, they would let them go. Can you tell me now? Ling Xiao stared at the 5 elements original spirits and asked. Good. The 5 elements secret technique was indeed in the Avalon of 5 elements. You may not know this, but the Avalon of 5 elements once had a 5 elements great emperor. The 5 elements great emperor cultivated the heavenly Tao of the 5 directions and used the 5 elements secret arts as his foundation. After his death, this place was enveloped by the great Tao of the 5 elements and naturally formed our 5 elements primordial spirits. The 5 elements great emperor also left the 5 elements secret technique here. Seeing that Ling Xiao and Jinsei swore an oath, the 5 elements primordial spirits heaved a sigh of relief and began to talk non-stop. Get to the point. Ling Xiao frowned and interrupted the 5 elements primordial spirits. The 5 elements secret technique is in the center of the Avalon of 5 elements, in the 5 elements mountain. The 5 elements primordial spirits pointed to the depths of the Avalon of 5 elements, where there was a towering mountain that pierced through the clouds. It was the tallest mountain in the Avalon of 5 elements and was surrounded by clouds and mist. It looked extremely extraordinary. 5 elements mountain. Very good, you can lead us there. Jinsei said faintly. Heroes, the 5 elements mountain is the forbidden area of the 5 elements primordial spirits. I have no way of going there at all. Why don't you go there yourself? Don't worry, I won't lie to you. The 5 elements primordial spirits said with a crying face. Either you lead the way or you die. What's your choice? The ancient sword in Jin Sei's hand pointed at the 5 elements primordial spirits, spewing out blazing rays of light. Furthermore, circles of yin-yang divine light bloomed, causing the 5 elements primordial spirits to freeze instantly. I'll lead you there. Heroes, please wait. The 5 elements primordial spirits said with a bitter smile. Very good. I advise you not to have any ideas, or I'll kill you directly. Jin Sei said coldly. She used the yin-yang secret technique, and the aura around her was incomparably fierce. The yin-yang divine light locked the 5 elements primordial spirits, as if it was going to explode with a powerful attack at any time. The 5 elements primordial spirits didn't dare to make the slightest move and could only obediently lead Ling Xiao and Jin Sei to the 5 elements mountain. The 5 elements mountain was located in the center of the Avalon of 5 elements. It was a huge mountain tens of thousands of feet tall, floating in the endless sea of clouds. It looked ancient and majestic, emitting a desolate aura, as mysterious as an ancient divine mountain. Under the guidance of the 5 elements primordial spirits, Ling Xiao and Jin Sei arrived at the foot of the 5 elements mountain. Ling Xiao could feel that the 5 elements mountain contained extremely rich 5 elements power. When the 5 elements primordial spirits came here, it was as if they were bound and would be assimilated by the 5 elements power in the 5 elements mountain at any time. Such rich and pure 5 elements power was definitely not something an ordinary person could achieve. Ling Xiao increasingly felt that the 5 elements secret technique might really exist in the 5 elements mountain. Where is the 5 elements secret technique? Ling Xiao asked faintly. 5 elements secret technique? Of course it's there. Look. The eyeballs of the 5 elements origin spirits rolled, and then they pointed forward. Ling Xiao and Jin Sei both looked in the direction pointed by the 5 elements primordial spirits and found that there were towering ancient trees and dense forests filled with mist. At this moment, 2 figures slowly walked out of it. They were 2 beautiful women, both wearing red dresses. Their figures were incomparably hot, their skin was like jade, and their black hair was like a waterfall. However, their expressions were very cold, and there was a kind of indifference and arrogance that kept people 1,000 miles away. Whoosh! At this moment, the 5 elements primordial spirits flashed and disappeared from Ling Xiao's and Jin Sei's perception range. The next moment, the 5 elements primordial spirits directly appeared around the 2 women in red dresses. Only then did they heave a sigh of relief and point at Ling Xiao and Jin Sei and curse. 2 fairies, quickly report to Master. These 2 bastards are simply too much. They actually want to catch me. They don't know what's good for them. Quickly let Master deal with them. The 5 elements primordial spirits pointed at Ling Xiao and Jin Sei, their eyes full of sneers. Chapter 2206. 5 elements origin spirit, so you lied to us. There is no secret skill of 5 elements here. Ling Xiao did not seem to be angry at all. He glanced at the 5 elements origin spirit and said indifferently. So what if I lied to you? To tell you the truth, the secret skill of 5 elements is indeed in the 5 elements mountain, but it is in the hands of my master. How dare you covet the secret skill of 5 elements? You are really courting death. The 5 elements origin spirit laughed proudly. Since the secret skill of 5 elements is here, as long as I kill your master, I can naturally get the secret skill of 5 elements. Ling Xiao nodded and looked calm. How dare you? The 2 beautiful women in red scolded in unison. They walked over slowly and stared at Ling Xiao and Jin Sei condescendingly. Their faces were indifferent, and there was a trace of burning killing intent in their eyes. Who are you? How dare you covet the 5 elements origin spirit and the secret skill of 5 elements? Hurry up and surrender, or I'll put you in a life or death situation. One of the women in red sneered. Blazing flames rose around her as if she could burn this part of the world. Her aura was extremely terrifying. Their cultivation had reached the human realm and they had broken through the limit once to reach the human sovereign realm. They would be considered peerless geniuses even in the chaotic ancient land. However, they were only subordinates of the mysterious master here. Ling Xiao was also curious about the mysterious master. Hand over the secret skill of 5 elements, or die. Jin Sei's expression was extremely cold. Sword essence rose around her. She held the Taishan sword and intertwined yin and yang qi, locking the 2 women in red in front of her. Her red dress was like blood, and her white hair was like frost. Her aura was incomparably fierce, and her face was incomparably beautiful. When the 2 women in red saw Jin Sei, they felt a sense of inferiority, and their hearts were filled with jealousy. However, Jin Sei's attitude angered them. Immediately, their expressions became colder and colder. Flames rose around them, distorting the void around them. You want the secret skill of 5 elements? Then you can exchange it with your life. The 2 women in red roared and took the initiative to attack Jin Sei. Boom. Their red dresses fluttered in the wind as if they were burning flames. Each of them held a crimson ancient sword in their hands. The sword light swept through the void, sharp and domineering. Kill! Jin Sei's eyes flashed with murderous intent. She held the Taishang sword and charged forward. The yin and yang divine light intertwined. There seemed to be 2 dragons coiling around her. The sword light was ethereal and mysterious. The 2 women in red and Jin Sei both cultivated the sword Dao, but the woman in red cultivated the fire sword Dao, while Jin Sei cultivated the high sword Dao. They were completely different, and an intense battle broke out. Boom! The sky was filled with flames. The fiery sword Qi and the very high sword Qi collided, causing the sky to tremble. Cracks that looked like spider webs appeared. Turbulence leaked out of the cracks, enveloping the woman in the red dress and Jin Sei. Although they were all women, the 3 of them attacked fiercely, aiming at each other's vital points. Divine light trembled in the void, sword will rose, and a storm swept out in all directions, causing the 5 elements mountain to tremble slightly. I was going to spare your life, but you lied to me. Ling Xiao was not worried about Jin Sei. Although Jin Sei was fighting against 2, Ling Xiao believed that the final winner would be Jin Sei. His eyes fell on the 5 elements' original spirits. They were calm and clear, as if they could see through everything. After meeting Ling Xiao's gaze, the 5 elements' primordial spirit could not help but tremble all over, and said in a threatening manner, "Kid, this is the 5 elements mountain. If you dare to attack me, Master will not let you off." Although the 5 elements' original spirits were spiritual objects of heaven and earth, they were not very powerful. At most, they were equivalent to a human realm expert who had just broken through the limit once. The perception of the 5 elements' original spirit was incomparably keen. It could sense that there was a dangerous aura on Ling Xiao. It was afraid that it was not Ling Xiao's opponent. But when it thought of its powerful and terrifying master, its heart calmed down. Your master. I was also very curious about who he was, and I was also very interested in his 5 elements secret technique. You lied to me, so you'll have to compensate me with your life. Ling Xiao said faintly, and then reached out to grab the 5 elements original spirits. Boom! Ling Xiao's palm expanded, and chaotic gas filled the air, as if it contained an ancient and mysterious world. At the same time, it emitted a powerful devouring power, forming a vast devouring vortex. Ling Xiao knew that the 5 elements' original spirits were transformed from the 5 elements' great Tao origin. The 5 elements' magical powers had no effect on them, and could even be used to escape. So Ling Xiao directly used the devouring heaven's secret technique, trying to capture the 5 elements' original spirits. The divine light behind Ling Xiao was boiling, as if there was a boundless sea. The vast vortex could devour the sky and erode the sun. The scene was extremely shocking. Bastard, you dare to attack me? The 5 elements' original spirit's face changed. It did not expect Ling Xiao to attack it so decisively. It could not help but scream, and the 5 elements' divine light flowed around its body. In an instant, it wanted to break through the void and escape. Rumble. However, the devouring heaven secret technique broke out completely, and the devouring heaven divine sea formed by it engulfed everything. The five elements' original spirit had no way to escape, and it was about to be caught by Ling Xiao. Whoosh! At this moment, the five elements' original spirit's body shone brightly, and the five elements' divine rings rippled, making it emit a wave of invulnerability. Its body seemed to erupt with a terrifying wave of power, and it instantly broke free from Ling Xiao's devouring heaven divine sea and fled toward the five elements' mountain. Master, save me! The five elements' primordial spirit yelled. Rings of five elements' divine rings filled the air around its body, forming a mysterious resonance with the five elements' mountain. This caused the five elements' mountain to emit a dazzling divine glow, looking mysterious and unfathomable. Crack! As if a gate of heaven opened, the great Tao principles intertwined in the void, and the five elements' divine light bloomed. Runes rose, and a mysterious figure slowly emerged in the void. Master has come out of seclusion. Ha ha ha. Boy, you're dead. No one can save you now. The five elements' original spirit's eyes lit up, and it immediately laughed arrogantly. Is this the master of the five elements' original spirit? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed, and he did not continue to attack the five elements' original spirit. Instead, he stared at the figure in the void. For some reason, he faintly felt a familiar aura. It was as if he had seen this person somewhere before. Buzz. Chapter 2207. It was a man who looked perfect and flawless. He was dressed in a white robe, had a slender figure, and long black hair casually draped behind his head. His face was incomparably handsome, and his skin was sparkling and translucent like jade. He looked flawless and was even full of a soul-stirring beauty. His face could only be described as beautiful. Even women would be jealous of his appearance, especially his pair of eyes that were like stars. They were deep, resplendent, and bright, as if they contained a starry sky, causing people to unconsciously be immersed in them. He strolled over, sprinkling bits of starlight around him, as if bathing in the starlight all over the sky. The corners of his mouth held a faint smile, and his temperament was aloof and otherworldly. Behind him, a small dog followed. It stuck out its little tongue, and its eyes were bright. It looked very cute. When Ling Xiao saw this man, he could not help but be slightly taken aback. He did recognize this man. Jiang Luer. When Ling Xiao participated in the pill talisman ceremony, he inadvertently plucked the five origin sacred medicine in the small pill talisman realm and released Jiang Luer, who was known as a peerless genius from 90 million years ago and was the most promising expert to affirm his Tao and become an emperor. Ling Xiao did not expect that the owner of the five origin spirits was actually Jiang Luer. Master, this bastard wants to kill me. You must uphold justice for me. After seeing Jiang Luer, the five origin spirits immediately ran over and complained tearfully, looking at Ling Xiao with eyes full of arrogance and complacency. It even knew how terrifying this master was. In its view, if its master was willing to take action, no matter how strong Ling Xiao was, he would die without a doubt. Jiang Luer looked at Ling Xiao with a calm expression, and the corners of his mouth revealed a smile. Little brother, we meet again. Yes, we meet again. We haven't seen each other for a few years, and Brother Zhang's strength has become more and more unfathomable. Ling Xiao nodded and said. You know each other? The five origin spirits were immediately dumbfounded. Yes. Little brother and I have known each other for a few years. Did you offend him? Why aren't you going to apologize to him? Jiang Luer looked at the five origin spirits and said. Apologize to him? Master, are you kidding me? He wants to kill me. He should be the one apologizing to me. The five origin spirits said angrily. Jin Sei, stop it. Ling Xiao said to Jin Sei, who was fighting with two women in red in the void. Jiang Luer had a very comfortable aura, and Ling Xiao had a good impression of her. He could feel that Jiang Luer had no hostility towards him, so he called Jin Sei. The blazing sword light exploded in the air like a small sun. Hearing Ling Xiao's words, Jin Sei flew out of the explosion and didn't continue to attack. On the other hand, the faces of the two women in red dress were a little pale. They secretly sighed in relief. The two of them were already at a disadvantage. If Jinsei didn't stop now, they would really be defeated by Jinsei. The way they looked at Jinsei was slightly different. Jinsei's cultivation was on par with theirs, but her strength was far above theirs. Although they were unwilling, there was nothing they could do. Ling Xiao cupped his hands and smiled at Jiang Luer. It doesn't matter. Speaking of which, this guy is too reckless. Little brother, are you here for the secret technique of 5 elements? Jiang Luer waved her hand and smiled. I do have some ideas. I wonder if the secret technique of 5 elements has fallen into your hands. I can exchange it with other Heavenly Palace secret techniques. Ling Xiao nodded, not bothering to hide his thoughts. The chaotic ancient land was the best opportunity to collect the 12 sky arts secret techniques. Since he knew that the secret technique of 5 elements was here, Ling Xiao naturally did not intend to let it go. No need to go through so much trouble. The secret technique of 5 elements is on top of the 5 elements peak. There is a 5 elements heavenly steel there. If you are fated, you can naturally obtain the secret technique of 5 elements from there. You can give it a try. Jiang Luer smiled slightly. Oh. On top of the 5 elements peak. Ling Xiao's eyes lit up. It seemed that the 5 origin spirits did not completely lie to him. If he could obtain the secret technique of 5 elements, not only would his strength increase greatly, but he would also be one step closer to collecting the 12 sky arts. Brother Ling Xiao, now that the final assessment of the Heavenly Selection Assembly is coming, what do you think of the Chosen One? Jiang Luer changed the topic. The Chosen One. How difficult was it to become the Heaven's chosen child when countless geniuses and demonic geniuses from all over the universe fought for supremacy? But Brother Jiang should have a chance. Ling Xiao said with a rueful smile. Jiang Luer in front of him looked unfathomable, giving Ling Xiao the feeling that he was somewhat similar to the Son of Heaven. It had to be said that the Son of Heaven was the strongest among his peers that Ling Xiao had seen so far. Even Zhou Panlong, the original prince, and the others were much weaker than the Son of Heaven. Back then, the Celestial Emperor had swept through all the realms and created the era of the human race. He had led the human race to become the master of the era and entered the God realm. His descendants were also incomparably dazzling, causing their peers of the younger generation to pale in comparison. You're wrong. In my opinion, whether it's me or the Son of Heaven, the chances of becoming the Chosen One are not high. The person with the greatest chance should be you. Jiang Luer said with deep meaning. Me? Brother Jiang, you really have confidence in me. Ling Xiao said with a smile. That's right. You're the only person in this era that I can't see through. Although we all belong to this era, we've been sealed for a long time. Whether it's fate or opportunities, we can't compare to you. The heavenly Tao will always favor the current people. Jiang Luer said slowly. Brother Jiang, have you discovered something? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He felt that Jiang Luer's words had a hidden meaning, as if he had discovered something in the chaotic ancient land. I'm just guessing, don't take it seriously. But if it really comes down to it, even if I meet Brother Ling Xiao, I won't be lenient. The Chosen One is too attractive. Jiang Luer said with a smile. Me too, I'm looking forward to a battle with Brother Jiang. Ling Xiao nodded with a smile, a strong fighting spirit in his eyes. He had his own pride. Although Jiang Luer was known as a peerless genius 90 million years ago, he didn't think that he was weaker than Jiang Luer, the Son of Heaven, and the others. He was confident that he could fight with Jiang Luer. Fighting with these ancient geniuses was the best way for him to sublimate, break through his limits, and advance to a higher realm. Buzz! Jiang Luer pointed at the 5 elements origin spirit. The 5 elements origin spirit seemed to know what Jiang Luer wanted to do. Although it was reluctant, it didn't stop Jiang Luer and allowed Jiang Luer to point at its forehead. Chapter 2208. Brother Ling Xiao, I'll give this drop of blood to you as a token of my gratitude for breaking the seal for me. I'm sure we'll meet again. Jiang Luer smiled as he handed the drop of 5-colored blood to Ling Xiao. Thank you, Brother Jiang. Where does Brother Jiang intend to go? Ling Xiao did not refuse and immediately accepted the 5-colored blood bead. Although he did not refine the complete 5 elements original spirit, this drop of 5-colored blood bead could allow him to comprehend the 5 elements' great way origin. Not only could it greatly increase his cultivation, but it would also make it easier for him to comprehend the 5 elements' secret skill. I'm going to find an ancient seal and wait for the final battle. No matter what, I'm going to fight for it. It's time for the world to change. Jiang Luer's voice was ethereal, as if he was referring to something. He did not look back. He waved his hand at Ling Xiao and walked forward, slowly disappearing into the depths of the sea of clouds. The 2 women in red and the 5 elements origin spirits followed closely behind. Brother Jiang is so carefree. Ling Xiao looked at Jiang Luer's departing figure and said with some emotion. He's very strong. Jin Sei, who had been silent, suddenly said. Oh. How many moves can you take from him? Ling Xiao looked at Jin Sei and smiled with interest. 1 move. If he goes all out, I can't take 1 move. The same goes for you. Jin Sei said lightly, then turned and walked up the 5 elements mountain. Ling Xiao was a little surprised by Jin Sei's judgment, but when he heard Jin Sei's last sentence, he was a little depressed. Jin Sei had too little confidence in him. Jin Sei, aren't you underestimating me? Let me tell you, let alone 1 move, he won't be able to defeat me in 10 or even 100 moves. Ling Xiao chased after Jin Sei somewhat childishly. The 5 elements mountain was majestic, tens of thousands of feet high, and incomparably steep. It floated above the sea of clouds, shrouded in dazzling 5-colored divine clouds, looking ethereal and mysterious. Ling Xiao and Jin Sei could feel that the 5 elements mountain contained vast 5 elements origins, especially at the top of the 5 elements mountain. It seemed to be the place where the 5 elements gathered and where the great Tao was born. There was a mysterious Tao sound pervading the air. The 2 of them walked up the stairs and soon arrived at the top of the 5 elements mountain. Standing at the top of the 5 elements mountain, he was surrounded by a sea of clouds. The peaks of the floating mountains were exposed, just like small islands in the sea. The peak of the 5 elements mountain was like the center of the Avalon of 5 elements. From there, one could overlook everything and take in the entire Avalon of 5 elements. The top of the mountain was completely bare, with only a single ancient tablet. Other than that, there was nothing else. Is this the 5 elements heavenly steel? Ling Xiao carefully sized up the ancient tablet, a strange look in his eyes. The 5 elements heavenly steel looked to be hundreds of meters tall. It was grayish-brown in color, and the surface of the steel was mottled. There were many traces of the vicissitudes of time on it, and it looked extremely ordinary. Ling Xiao did not sense any aura related to the great Tao of the 5 elements from the ancient tablet. Jiang Luer said that the fated ones can obtain the secret skill of 5 elements from the 5 elements heavenly steel. I'm afraid this is the reason. It's not easy to comprehend the secret skill of 5 elements. Jin Sei said slowly. Do you have any ideas? Ling Xiao looked at Jin Sei and smiled. Perhaps you can try using the secret skill of yin yang. The secret skill of yin yang and the secret skill of 5 elements come from the same source. They both originated from the supreme secret skill of chaos. The 2 have a strange connection. If you use the secret skill of yin yang, you should be able to comprehend the secret skill of 5 elements from the 5 elements heavenly steel. This is the yin scroll. If you combine it with the yang scroll, you will be able to obtain the complete secret skill of yin yang. Jin Sei said after thinking for a while. Whoosh! An inheritance crystal appeared in Jin Sei's palm, and she passed it to Ling Xiao. She knew that Ling Xiao had obtained the yang scroll from Feng Qingyang. Now that she gave the inheritance crystal of the yin scroll to Ling Xiao would be able to obtain the complete secret skill of yin yang. However, Jean Sei did not realize that she had unknowingly started to think for Ling Xiao. Naturally, she took out the Yin scroll without any hesitation. All right, thank you. Ling Xiao said with a radiant smile. You're welcome. You've helped me so much. The Yin scroll is my reward. Jean Sei avoided Ling Xiao's gaze and said plainly. Ling Xiao smiled and did not say anything. He placed the inheritance crystal of the Yin scroll between his eyebrows. Suddenly, a vast torrent of information surged into his consciousness. Ling Xiao's body trembled slightly. He could feel that there was a mysterious flow of yin and yang qi in his consciousness, causing some changes in his eyes. Ling Xiao's eyes turned black and white. The world seemed to be left with only black and white in his eyes. They intertwined with each other and formed all living things, forming the heavens and realms. Yin and yang qi were the origin of all living things. They contained the ultimate mystery of the origin of life. Ling Xiao immediately sat cross-legged in front of the five elements heavenly steel. The mysterious aura around him intertwined with the flow of yin and yang qi, causing him to become ethereal. Jean Sei was very patient. She held her sword and stood behind Ling Xiao to protect him. After obtaining the inheritance of the secret skill of yin-yang, it was no different from a metamorphosis for Ling Xiao. Many of the problems that he had encountered in the process of cultivation had been easily solved. His body was originally as tough as steel. Now, the flow of yin and yang qi made his body stronger and more flexible. Every particle in his body began to have the yin and yang qi fused with them. Yin and yang qi flowed in Ling Xiao's eyes, allowing him to see through everything. It was mysterious. Ling Xiao did not care about these changes. His attention was completely focused on the secret skill of yin and yang in his consciousness. The two ancient and mysterious runes of yin and yang intertwined like the first divine rune that created the world. It contained the truth of the great Tao, causing Ling Xiao to sink into a state of enlightenment. Yin and yang, the beginning of all living things, a bell seemed to ring in Ling Xiao's ears, causing him to be enlightened. It was like he had an epiphany, comprehending the true meaning of the laws of yin and yang. Mysterious aura overflowed from Ling Xiao's body. His entire being became ethereal, and the space around him was slightly distorted. He seemed to be about to transform into the Great Path and leave. His entire being was one with the Great Path, and his aura was extremely mysterious. At this moment, the ordinary-looking five elements heavenly steel underwent some changes. Crack! The mottled surface of the five elements heavenly steel began to peel off, and a resplendent divine light burst forth with a loud bang, intertwining with a five-colored divine light. White, green, black, red, and yellow divine light that contained the origin of the five elements shot towards the sky with a loud bang. Ling Xiao's body trembled slightly. Black and white light emanated from his body. In an instant, they merged with the five-colored divine light, forming a seven-colored divine light. In an instant, the space shook violently. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. Chapter 2209. When Ling Xiao was comprehending the secret skill of yin-yang, there was a strange resonance between him and the five elements sky steel. Rumble. At the same time, a ray of light flew out from Ling Xiao's body and started to expand in the void. It turned into a giant steel and appeared beside the five elements sky steel. Blazing divine light gushed out and the yin and yang qi flowed. Bolts of lightning intertwined, making the giant steel look extremely mysterious. This is the sky steel of sun and moon. Ling Xiao, who was in a state of cultivation, was shocked. He did not expect the sky steel of sun and moon to rush out from his body when he was comprehending the secret skill of yin-yang. Ling Xiao had obtained the sky steel of sun and moon in the war god's plane. Although he could feel that the sky steel of sun and moon was extraordinary, he did not know what it was used for. Now that he had obtained the complete secret skill of yin-yang, the sky steel of sun and moon seemed to have been stimulated and exploded instantly. Rumble. The sky steel of sun and moon flowed with the yin and yang qi. The five elements sky steel released a five-colored ray of light. The two of them started to get closer to each other. Rumble. The heaven and earth trembled and a blazing divine light storm swept out in all directions. In the end, the sky steel of sun and moon and the 5 elements sky steel merged into one. In an instant, a 7-colored ray of light bloomed and lit up the sky completely. Ling Xiao's body slowly floated up. The 7-colored heavenly steel gradually disintegrated and finally turned into 2 ancient and mysterious scriptures. They contained the mysterious power of yin and yang and the 5 elements and were extremely dazzling. The wordless heavenly book between Ling Xiao's eyebrows also began to tremble violently. It erupted with a strange sound wave, like the sound of the heavens splitting the earth. The 2 ancient scriptures were like flowing light, instantly shooting into Ling Xiao's forehead. Rumble. The wordless heavenly book released a blazing 9-colored ray of light. It was like the way of heaven had been completed. Suddenly, the secret skill of yin and yang and the secret skill of 5 elements appeared on it. At the same time, Ling Xiao also received the inheritance of these 2 sutras. His entire aura began to become erratic and unstable. 10th Heaven Star Constellation, secret skill of yin and yang. 11th Heaven Star Constellation, secret skill of 5 elements. Rumble. After receiving the inheritance of the yin-yang and 5 elements celestial technique, Ling Xiao's entire body was covered in a scarlet glow. Within the avalon of 5 elements, the vast 5 elemental origin energy in the surroundings surged into his body. Roar! Roar! Inside Ling Xiao's body, there were the roars of dragons and tigers, as well as the rumbling of heavenly thunder. Endless divine light intertwined. He sat cross-legged in the sky above the 5 elements mountain, and all kinds of mysterious visions appeared around him. Ling Xiao had originally cultivated the ancestral dragon secret skill, true phoenix secret skill, white tiger secret skill, black tortoise secret skill, and qilin secret skill. However, apart from the ancestral dragon secret skill, which he had achieved great success in, he could only use part of the divine beast bloodline even though he had inherited the other 4 secret skills. However, now that Ling Xiao had obtained the secret skill of the 5 elements, the vast 5 elements origin energy made his aura mysterious. The secret skill of the ancestral dragon and the other secret skills seemed to have been completely activated, making Ling Xiao's physical body even more terrifying. 5-colored divine light flowed around his body, and the 5 sacred beasts were entrenched in his internal organs. They fused with each other and erupted with a terrifying energy fluctuation. Ling Xiao felt that the power in his body was like a volcano that was about to erupt. It had reached a critical point, and was about to break through the limit and ascend to a higher realm. Ling Xiao's body was crystal clear, and it was as if his bones could be seen. 7-colored divine light flowed in his body, and the power of yin and yang and the 5 elements seemed to have cleansed and transformed his body, making it even more powerful. Although he had closed his eyes, he could feel that the world was extremely clear, and it was filled with all kinds of laws. The yin and yang and the 5 elements were like 7 heavenly pillars, forming the foundation that supported this world. Ling Xiao's physical body had fused with the Great Path precepts, and there was not a trace of impurity. Every particle in his body was filled with chaotic qi, as if it was going to split the world apart, forming a mysterious small world. His body contained a terrifying power, as if he was a god of creation who had created a boundless world. He was tall and majestic, and a single glance at him was enough to make one's mind tremble. Ling Xiao could feel that the power in his body had accumulated to the extreme, and it could erupt at any time. Open! Ling Xiao yelled, and boundless 7-colored light gushed out of his body. Then, he threw a punch into the sky, and a layer of blazing flames appeared around him, beginning to burn fiercely. Rumble! The world trembled as Ling Xiao threw a punch, directly shattering the endless clouds in the sky. A huge fist mark shrouded the sky, causing the void to tremble as a vast chaotic light bloomed. Meanwhile, a second flower of Tao slowly bloomed above Ling Xiao's head. In an instant, boundless light illuminated the world. The mysterious flower of Tao swayed as if the endless laws of the world had gathered, making Ling Xiao's presence mysterious and ethereal. Is this the second level of ascension? Ling Xiao slowly opened his eyes and softly murmured to himself. His eyes were incomparably deep. 7-colored divine light shot out from within, making him look incomparably dignified. This was especially true for the 2 great Tao immortal flowers above his head. They were sparkling and translucent. As they overlapped, chaotic light flickered, as if they contained a boundless world. Ling Xiao didn't expect that after obtaining the secret arts of Yin and Yang and the secret arts of the 5 elements, he would be able to break through the second limit and ascend to the earth realm in one go. Above his head, the sovereign of Tao sat cross-legged in the flower of Tao. It looked like a miniature version of Ling Xiao, real and clear. The sovereign of earth seemed ethereal, flowing with the aura of reincarnation. It was like everything that had passed away in the past. It was unfathomable, but it truly existed. The present, the past, and the future. Ling Xiao came to a realization. The 3rd level of celestial realm probably represented the future, and the sovereign of heaven represented all kinds of variables in the future. After forming the 3 sovereigns of heaven, earth, and mortal, he could control the present, the past, and the future. He could completely see through himself and control his own destiny. This was the true 3 levels of ascension. Not only have you obtained the secret arts of the 5 elements, but your cultivation has also improved. You've broken through to the earth realm. It looks like you're not far from the heaven realm. Jean Sei walked over with a hint of surprise in her eyes. I still have to thank you for protecting me. Jean Sei, I probably won't be able to use this 5-colored blood pearl. Take it and practice the secret arts of the 5 elements. You should be able to take another step forward. Ling Xiao smiled and handed the 5-colored blood pearl and the inheritance crystal he'd prepared beforehand to Jean Sei. Chapter 22:10. Ling Xiao was very happy. Unknowingly, Jean Sei had become warm and affectionate. Naturally, she gave up the opportunity to comprehend the 5 elements' secret arts to protect him. The way of the great oblivion was the way of the heavens. The way of the heavens was emotionless. It was neither pleased by external things nor sorrowful. It was based on self-interest and would not be moved or angered by external things. However, Ling Xiao found that Jean Sei seemed to have reached a critical moment. She was between the way of the emotions and the way of the emotionless. It was as if she could step into the way of the great oblivion at any time. Ling Xiao remembered what the emperor had once said. If Jean Sei could step into the way of the great oblivion, she would be able to recover her past memories and remember everything. Ling Xiao could feel that with Jean Sei by his side, she had a great influence on him. Thank you. Jean Sei was a little hesitant, but she still accepted the 5-colored blood pearl and inheritance crystal and nodded. You're welcome. Jean Sei, we're one. You'll understand everything when you remember the past. Ling Xiao smiled. He was in a great mood. He had already obtained the reincarnation secret skill, heaven's punishment secret skill, yin-yang secret skill, 5 elements secret skill, and heaven battling secret skill. Not only did these 5 heaven secret skills increase Ling Xiao's strength greatly, but they also brought him much closer to gathering the 12 heaven secret skills. In addition to these 5 sky skills, Ling Xiao also obtained the incomplete secret arts of destiny, karma, and spacetime. He believed that it would not be long before he could gather all the 12 sky skills. At that time, with the 12 sky skills as the foundation, he would be invincible. Even if his identity was exposed, he would have some ability to protect himself. During this period of time, Ling Xiao had a sense of crisis in his heart. He had a feeling that he would not be able to hide his identity for long. The old goat and the others are in some trouble. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he said slowly. The old goat sent a voice transmission to ask for help. He was in a lot of trouble, which shocked Ling Xiao. After all, the old goat, Taoist Wuliang, and Feng Qingyang were all experts of the heaven-treading third realm. Their opponents were probably extraordinary to be able to make them feel troubled. Let's go take a look. Jean Sei put away the 5-colored blood bead and the inheritance crystal, and her expression became calm and indifferent again. Let's go. I also want to see what kind of person could make the old goat feel troubled. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. He rose into the air with Jin Se and flew towards the old goat. After the old goat, Taoist Wu Yang, and Feng Qingyang left, they inadvertently found an ancient heavenly palace in the sea of clouds. The heavenly palace was hidden in the depths of the clouds and was shrouded by mysterious laws. No one knew how long it had been sealed. Ordinary people would not be able to find this place. If it were not for Old Goat's group being lucky, they would not have been able to find this heavenly palace. The heavenly palace was sparkling and translucent, as if it was made of colored glass. It emitted a five-colored divine glow and looked incomparably mysterious. It contained a boundless emperor's might. The old goat, Taoist Wu Yang, and Feng Qingyang were all very excited. They felt that they must have found the inheritance of an expert, so they were eager to enter the heavenly palace to search for treasures. However, the aura of the heavenly palace also attracted two uninvited guests. They were two young men with unfathomable auras. One of them was wearing a five-colored Taoist robe. He had a slender figure and looked extraordinarily handsome. He emitted a powerful aura from head to toe. The other looked very ordinary. He wore a gray robe and his black hair was draped over his shoulders. There seemed to be a faint chaotic aura around him. His appearance was very ordinary, but his eyes were incomparably deep and calm. In the beginning, they were very restrained. They worked together to break many of the restrictions in the heavenly palace. In the end, they pushed open the door of the heavenly palace and entered the heavenly palace. The old goat and the others also knew the origins of these two people. The man in the five-colored Taoist robe was the holy son of the Five Elements Celestial Sect, Yuan Chen. The ordinary-looking man was the holy son of the chaotic heavenly sect, Wu Ji. The holy son of the Five Elements Celestial Sect was one thing, but the holy son of the chaotic heavenly sect shocked the old goat and the others. The chaotic heavenly sect had always been the leader of the 12 holy lands. It was the strongest force in the entire god realm. Legend had it that the chaotic heavenly sect had existed for several eras. It was even older than the human race. No one knew the details of the chaotic heavenly sect. Even a few of the 9 emperors of the human race had cultivated in the chaotic heavenly sect. The chaotic heavenly sect was extremely mysterious. It was said that the chaotic heavenly sect was very strict in accepting disciples. No one knew the location of the chaotic heavenly sect. At this moment, the old goat and the others were shocked when they saw the holy son of the chaotic heavenly sect, Wu Ji. They were secretly on guard. This was because they realized that they could not see through the holy son of the Wu Ji holy son's cultivation. After entering the heavenly palace, they found an ancient scripture and a circular jade disc in the heavenly palace. A conflict finally arose. The old goat and the others had their eyes on the ancient scripture. The holy son of the Wu Ji holy son and Yuan Chen holy son were extremely overbearing. Not only did they want the jade disc, but they also wanted the complete ancient scripture. They only allowed the old goat and the others to copy a portion of it. In an instant, the atmosphere became tense. The two holy sons are really overbearing. We were able to open the restriction of the heavenly palace because we worked together. You want to monopolize these two treasures. Do you really think we are easy to bully? Taoist Wu Yang said indifferently. My 3 friends, do you know where this heavenly palace is? This is the cave residence left behind by the seniors of the 5 Elements Celestial Sect. This ancient scripture and the jade disc are the most precious treasures of the 5 Elements Celestial Sect. It is impossible for them to fall into the hands of outsiders. I can give the 3 of you some compensation. How about it? The Yuan Chen holy son smiled indifferently. His expression looked very gentle, but the old goat and the others could keenly sense the arrogance hidden behind that gentleness. Give us some compensation. In your dreams. That ancient scripture probably contains a supreme emperor technique. The jade disc is also not simple. It may be some kind of precious treasure. We agree to split it equally with you. You have already taken advantage of us. Are you still not satisfied? The old goat sneered. He had a fiery temper. At this moment, he did not find the Yuanqin Holy Sun and the Wuji Holy Sun pleasing to the eye. If Taoist Wuliang had not stopped him, he would have gone berserk. The three of you, I advise you not to refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. This is the cave residence left behind by the seniors of the Five Elements Celestial sect. To let you copy an ancient scripture is already an extra favor. Don't push your luck. The Yuanqin Holy Sun's expression was slightly cold, and the five-colored light around him became even more dazzling. Push my luck. Hee, how overbearing. You said this is the cave residence left behind by the seniors of the Five Elements Celestial sect, and it is? I also said that this is a gift from my grandson to me. Damn it, I hate sanctimonious things like you the most. If you want to fight, then fight. Do you really think we are afraid of you? Chapter 22:11. I advise you not to fight here. The Wuji Saint is magnanimous to allow you to copy the ancient scripture and leave. Don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Otherwise, if you offend the Wuji Saint, no one can save you. The Yuanqin Saint sneered. His cultivation was similar to that of the old goat and Feng Qingyang. He had broken through the limit once and advanced to the heaven-treading realm. However, he seemed to regard the Wuji Saint as his leader. Regardless of whether it was the way he spoke or acted, he revealed an extremely respectful attitude. Wuji Saint? You want to show off in front of me? I'm afraid you've chosen the wrong place. Today, I'll say it here. Either you give me the ancient scripture or we fight. The old goat sneered. The aura around him was extremely sharp. It locked onto the Yuanqin Saint and the Wuji Saint. A dangerous aura surged, causing the surrounding void to tremble slightly. At this moment, the Wuji Saint's gaze was fixed on the crystal-clear jade disc. It was as if he did not care about the old goat and the other two at all. At this moment, after hearing the old goat's words, the Wuji Saint came back to his senses. He frowned slightly and said, "Believe me, these two treasures are not something you can covet. If you leave now, I can spare your lives. I don't want to kill anyone today." The Wuji Saint had an arrogant attitude. His voice was majestic and overbearing. Immediately, the old goat, Taoist Wuliang, and Feng Qingyang were enraged. The Wuji Saint was indeed extremely overbearing. You want to take the good fortune jade disc for yourself? Aren't you being too overbearing? I'm also very interested in the good fortune jade disc. Why don't you give it all to me? At this moment, a calm and indifferent voice rang out in the void. Swoosh! Swoosh! Ling Xiao and Jin Se flew in from outside the heavenly palace. The aura around them was extremely powerful, causing the divine light to blaze in the heavenly palace. Mist rose and it was extremely violent. Ling Xiao, you're finally here. If you hadn't come, we would have fought with these two bastards. The old goat's eyes lit up as he heaved a sigh of relief. They haven't fought yet, have they? Are you so unconfident that you're not their match? Ling Xiao rolled his eyes and said. Previously, he had thought that old goat and the other two had fallen into a desperate situation, so he had rushed over with Jin Se in a hurry. However, he did not expect to find old goat and the other two saints only confronting each other and not fighting. Ling Xiao also heard the words of the Yuanqin Saint's son and the Wuji Saint's son, and was somewhat dissatisfied with their overbearing attitude. However, when he saw the two treasures in the heavenly palace, Ling Xiao immediately understood why the Yuanqin sage and the Wuji sage were so insistent on seizing the two treasures. This was because the jade butterfly was a fragment of the good fortune jade disc. Who are you? Yuanqin Xingzi's eyes flashed as he said coldly. The saintess of the Taishengdao Palace? If I'm not mistaken, you're Long Out Yen from the War God Temple, right? You want to be my enemy too? The everlasting saint said faintly. He sounded a little surprised. That's right, it's me. It's not me being your enemy, it's you being my enemy. The three of them are my good brothers. If I can't seek justice for them when my good brothers are being bullied, then I'm too incompetent. Moreover, I'm also very interested in the good fortune jade disc. Ling Xiao smiled coldly. You can recognize the good fortune jade disc? I know, you also have a fragment of the good fortune jade disc on you, right? Hand over all the fragments of the good fortune jade disc, and I can spare your life. The Wuji Saint's eyes lit up as he stared at Ling Xiao. You want the fragments of the good fortune jade disc? That depends on whether you have the ability to do so. As long as you defeat me, all the treasures are yours. However, if you lose, hand over the 2 treasures obediently, and then scram with your tail between your legs. Ling Xiao smiled faintly as a strong fighting spirit appeared in his eyes. He was keenly aware that there was the aura of the good fortune jade disc in the Wuji Saint's body, and it was extremely pure. It was not much weaker than the good fortune jade disc in his body, which made Ling Xiao's heart tremble. This was the first time he had seen someone with the good fortune jade disc. The Wuji Saint of the chaotic heavenly sect was indeed not simple. Are you challenging me? You've just broken through to the heaven-treading realm, and you're indeed extraordinary. If you think this is your trump card, then you're gravely mistaken. The Wuji Saint said faintly, his expression still calm. I'd really like to try. Ling Xiao retorted as he stared at the Wuji Saint. A faint chaotic aura spread out from his body. The Wuji Saint was extremely powerful. Ling Xiao guessed that he had probably reached the 3rd heaven realm. In addition, the chaotic heavenly sect's various supreme superpowers and peerless emperor techniques allowed the Wuji Saint to possess extremely terrifying combat strength. Even so, Ling Xiao still wanted to fight with him. He would advance step by step, defeating one opponent after another, sweeping away all the sky prides and accumulating his own strength. Finally, he would be able to fight with the emperor. Ling Xiao knew that if he wanted to obtain the human tribe seal, he would have to fight with the emperor. Rumble. Ling Xiao and the Wuji Saint's aura collided, and a vast aura rose. It was like 2 tornadoes that swept across the heavens and earth, erupting with blazing divine light that caused the heavens and earth to rumble. When their eyes met, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. Chaotic light bloomed, and there was a supreme divine power that could destroy the heavens and earth. You're not bad. However, you shouldn't have touched the good fortune jade disc. Since you're unwilling to hand it over, I'll have to take it myself. From today onwards, the war god Hall's fortune will be cut off. The Wuji Saint said faintly. Rumble. His voice was like brilliant thunder, causing the void all around to tremble violently. The vast precepts of the great path descended and intertwined together like divine chains of order. In an instant, they pierced through the void and surged toward Ling Xiao. At the same time, the Wuji Saint also made his move. Bang! He blasted a simple punch toward Ling Xiao. In an instant, chaotic light exploded. The heavens shook, and the sun and moon dimmed. The vast chaotic fist print was extremely fierce. Great! Ling Xiao's eyes lit up immediately. He could feel a terrifying power coming from the Wuji Saint. It was as if the Wuji Saint's body contained an endless amount of chaos. Every move he made was filled with unfathomable heavenly might. This was the true chaotic sacred body. Ling Xiao felt the pressure, but his battle intent burned even brighter. He held the invincible fist print in his hand, and golden light gushed out from his body. The dragon's roar shook the 9 heavens, and a golden divine dragon charged toward the Wuji Saint. Rumble. The void trembled, and blazing divine light swept out, causing the heavenly palace to shake violently. Ling Xiao and the Wuji Saint flew backward at the same time.